can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can reflect on what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See, if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. You might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills, cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. And hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. Your mind state, now balloon, it won't inflate. Just take the buzz, this much wiser kid, fuck the shade. And take it to a lower level, and dig a ditch for a devil. Got some more kids and pass the shovel. Dig a hole, take them on a spiritual roll. Lyrics unfold, either that or unroll the scroll. Episodes keep reoccurring and stifling. People's vision get blurring, their hearts start murmuring. I'm about 5 times iller than a Sherman. Introspection is God's gift to the miracle. I freak material, lamb's milk without the cereal. When MCs say your booty, they mean venereal. Your fake material hip-hop killers, they more faking than fucking Michael Jackson and Thriller. The status of a hoe, Quanto Costa. They wanna know how much it costs, kid, I bet for keep tell me just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax.
Two. Check. Alrighty. It is 9:04, November 30th, 2025, Central European Time, 9:04. It's 1 a.m. in Arizona right now, USA. And that should make it about 3:04 Eastern Standard Time, USA. And of course, it's like 10 something. Oh, no, it's like 11. It's almost lunchtime in Asia. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. A lot of stuff is going down nonstop, but, let's just get right into it because, things are moving so fast. It's difficult to stay on top of the news all the time. But I mean, right now I stay on top of the news because it's relevant. What's going on in Europe? Let me start there. I can give some quick commentary on that. EU forces, they've been lifting, they've been meeting the EU states and outside of NATO, and they've been, preparing. I mean, right now Poland has the biggest military in the region, in the EU. and outside of the U.S. I think that might be number one. It may even be bigger than Russia's at this point. I'm not sure. But it's one of the top. It's one of the top, and in the Europe. And let me see something. Matter of fact, let me just find out about that. Let me see here. What are the largest militaries in NATO? Let me just check. Poland might be number 2. But in any case, on that front line of the EU, there has been a lot of military movement. And Poland is number 3rd. Turkey is number 2. United States is number 1. In NATO, right? So I don't know where that place is, Poland, in terms of the world, like when you put it up against China or Russia. But in any case, there's been a lot of movement on the ground, and there's been a lot of talk in the news about investment, sending weapons that are already there, number one, and also investment in new weapons. Where are they going to invest? I mean, I think Sweden now is pumping out some, more aircraft, right? But Poland, the big story is that Poland is military is basically teed off. I mean, they're heavily supplied and, heavily weaponed up right about now. And they've been getting a lot of support from other EU nations and also the U.S. I mean, they got something like 90 Abrams tanks, the 90. They got loads of shit. They have loads of stuff. And apparently Poland is taking this issue with the Ukraine, what Russia's doing in the Ukraine, pretty serious. Not that other nations are. Finland is. I mean, all the Baltic states are taking this serious. Estonia, Finland, they're all training. They all have, I think you pull a straw or something. Maybe not. I think it might be mandatory, like civilian training. Like, so things are going down. Denmark still has the straw poll, right? Where, when they pull they pull the straw, if you have the shortest straw, then you go no matter what. But this has been going on. This increasing in military capacity and training has been going on for the last year. So just for folks to know in the U.S. that the EU is, you don't hear a lot about it in the newspapers. You definitely don't hear a lot about it in American news, right? I think right now, Poland, in terms of GDP spending on military in NATO, is actually number 1, spends more of their GDP than the United States of America right now. That's another thing that's come in the news lately. So just to give you an idea, things are happening over here. And it appears, I don't expect EU nations to say they ain't waiting on the U.S. or don't trust the U.S. I'm not expecting that. But one thing's for sure is they ain't waiting. They're not waiting at all, and it's pretty clear because it doesn't seem like Donald Trump wants to tell you that Poland is number 1 GDP spending in NATO. So there you have it. But in any case, let's get right into what we got now for the last 24 hours. Let's see here. Can y'all see this? Can y'all see this? Hold on, let me see something here. Let me pull this up. Where is this at? 2 seconds. I hope everybody's had a good day. Good last 24 hours. Here we go.
Our next guest wants to know, where is the $50,000 in cash now, and did Tom Homan declare it on his tax return? Senator Adam Schiff joins us next.
Okay. Damn.
After MS Now's Ken Delaney and Kara Linig broke the news in September that Donald Trump's so-called border czar Tom Homan was recorded on undercover FBI video last year accepting $50,000 in cash from undercover FBI agents, the question became, what happened to the cash?
What became
and it's interesting because it seemed like this story went away for a second, but it hasn't gone away. It actually came right back. I mean, it appears that senators are now really starting to get pissed off about this. So luckily,
$50,000 in cash that the FBI paid to Mr. Homan in a paper bag, evidently.
What? How many seconds has to go by? How many seconds has to go by? It's crazy. What was that all about? What was that pause all about? She doesn't know what the answer is? Like,
Aim of
Cover FBI agents, the question became, what happened to the cash?
what became of the $50,000 in cash that the FBI paid to Mr. Homan in a paper bag, evidently.
Senator.
that's like 7 seconds. Is that like 7 seconds that went by there? Let me pull the clock up real quick. Hold on.
Happened to the cash?
That's like 10
What
seconds.
became of the $50,000 in cash that the FBI paid to Mr. Homan in a paper bag, evidently?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Senator, as
That's 12-second. That's a 12-second pause. I mean,
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche recently stated, the investigation of Mr. Homan was subjected to a full review by the FBI, agents, and DOJ prosecutors. They found no credible evidence of any wrongdoing.
And that was not my question. My question was, what became of the $50,000 in cash that the FBI delivered, evidently in a paper bag, to Mr. Homan?
Senator, I'd look at your facts.
you know, Pam Bondi is going to have a very hard fall because, I mean, look, the administration Trump has put her out there defending fools. I mean, she couldn't have had worse luck being the head of the DOJ because it means it's her job to investigate everyone. And if she fails to investigate crimes, especially these types of crimes, she's going to look like a damn fool. Like straight up, she's going to look like a fool. It is her job. If it's her job, I mean, maybe there's some people that don't understand what the Department of Justice is, and that when there's a crime, when you see a crime, you're supposed to investigate it. It's been already reported through the FBI that they have him recorded already. So how can you just go from having it recorded already to you don't know anything about it and have no explanation for why you don't know anything about it? I mean, she's going down hard. And by the way, you know, maybe Trump might give her some kind of pardon in advance before he steps down. But I think what I think is going to happen is, I mean, and also there's the question of the legality of pardoning people for crimes that have not been charged yet. Right. That's another thing. Right now, I think she's definitely going to go down either way. And I'm pretty sure she's going to go out pretty soon. I don't think she's going to stay in too much longer because if Trump is going to give her that pardon, Trump has to give her a pardon before he's out of office. And Trump looks exactly like a person that has dementia. He looks exactly like that now, but we're going to get into that into a second. Let's watch her cap just for opening.
Are you saying that they did not deliver $50,000 in cash to Mr. Homan?
Senator, as recently stated, the investigation of Mr. Homan was subjected to a full
A
review
different question.
by the FBI agents,
That's a
by
different
Department
question.
of Justice prosecutors. They found no evidence of wrongdoing.
That's a different question. What became of the $50,000? Did the FBI get it back?
Mr. Whitehouse, Senator Whitehouse, you're welcome to talk to the FBI.
And that's the head of the DOJ. You know, so she's telling you right there that it's not going to be her. She's not going to look into it at all. Period. Right? That's what she's saying. But if you're the head of the DOJ and that information has already been released by your offices, the least you have to do is explain what happened to the investigation that was already ongoing and documented publicly. That's wild. That's wild. So she's definitely going down over this. But the thing that strikes me the most is that she doesn't care that she looks like a damn fool while doing this job. I mean, she doesn't. That's weird.
The report to you, can't you answer this question?
Senator Whitehouse, you're welcome to discuss this with Director Patel.
Did Homan keep the $50,000?
As Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche recently stated, the investigation
never mind.
of
Now, Senate Judiciary Committee
Never
Democrats
mind.
Adam Schiff, Sheldon Whitehouse, and Richard Blumenthal have filed a Freedom of Information Act request to the Justice Department demanding, quote, all communications between White House officials and Department of Justice or FBI employees related to closing this investigation.
Right. So this is the news. Now there's that Freedom of Information request. So her being able to dodge that, I mean, you just have to explain. See, this is the problem. You might be able to hide information, but you won't be able to hide it without looking like you're hiding, being very obvious hiding it. So here you have it. It's crazy. They're going to have to respond.
All records reflecting and any video or audio recordings of Tom Homan interacting with undercover FBI agents, including accepting money from such agents. All records reflecting Department of Justice or FBI approval of the disbursement or use of the confidential funds delivered to Homan as part of this investigation. All records reflecting an audit or accounting of the confidential funds delivered to Homan, as well as
Somebody said Adele is on the is on the Diddy tapes. I mean, hey, I put it to you like this: she might be on them Diddy tapes. That's great. Diddy's in jail right now. A lot of people on those tapes. But generally speaking, I don't really want to know what they're doing on that tape. If it doesn't have some national security interest or some other criminal is good enough. It don't have to even be federal, state level criminality. I mean, then pretty much I'm over the Diddy story. You know what I'm saying? He's in jail, but this is current. I mean, Diddy's not the president. And this is the funny thing. See, Diddy, they got his ass. He's in jail. That's a wrap already. You know what I mean? Like Trump, however, Epstein, however, they've been given carte blanche for how long? You see what I mean? Like, so it just makes, to me, it's like, I definitely don't like Diddy, and I definitely don't like the way he did business, and I don't like his character in that business. I think he's a totally foul person, like an arrogant, sick person. Blown up by some billionaire, blown up to make money and rob a bunch of artists. You know what I'm saying? Flat out. But, having said that, it's like, I think he's like a little mouse compared to, a dragon that's running around here. And what's in that Epstein files is a dragon. It's a beast. It's not going to hurt other people outside of the U.S., but it's definitely going to crush American citizens, because as long as American citizens don't know what's in the Epstein files, they don't know what judge is being blackmailed to side with who and what. They don't know what senator is being blackmailed to side with who and what. They don't know what congressional member is being blackmailed to side with who or what. And they don't know who else is involved in blackmailing them. You see what I mean? Like, so... And that shit affects people's lives every day. So I'm more curious about this one. You know what I'm saying? What's going to happen to this administration? Because Diddy ain't got no power over my life,
Homan's tax returns. Joining us now is
I mean, I'm just saying, it was fun for a while, the Diddy ride, but
Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee and a former federal prosecutor. Senator Schiff, what normally happens with this kind of cash in undercover operations like this run by the FBI?
Få gratis
what
puder.
the heck? All right, let me see here. 2 seconds. I got to check my settings real quick on this streaming thing. 2 seconds.
Well, there would be a follow-up if there's a prosecution where you would make sure that the money was retained so you could enter it into evidence during a trial. Sometimes the $50,000 might be in marked bills. I remember working on a case involving corrupt L.A. sheriffs way back in the day when I was a prosecutor, and it involved marked bills that were later found sequestered within the drywall in this deputy sheriff's home. So you want to be able to prove that you provided the money. Now, if you've got video of it or audio of it, you may not need marked bills, but it's an important part of the evidence. But also here, where the Justice Department dismissed the case for reasons it's never made clear.
Exactly. So it's on record that they have had an investigation, so they can't really refuse to not release the investigation, especially if it's not there, or at least they have to make a statement about why. So what's the excuse going to be? National security? Is that what it's going to be?
The question is, did they ever?
They would still have to state that to in a congressional inquiry. They would still have, or maybe a Senate inquiry. They would still have to state it. You know, they do have committees where they have to redact and they have to explain their choices and their decision making and their reasoning behind stuff that they can't reveal to the public. They will still have to reveal it to some folks, you know.
Ever get the money back, or did he just get
release the files for real, get it over with?
$50,000 bribe gift from the FBI, and we should be able to get answers from the Attorney General on that, or the Director of the FBI, but that requires that Republicans join us in doing serious oversight. That requires the Judiciary Committee demand on a bipartisan basis answers to those very basic questions. They haven't been willing to do that. So Senator Whitehouse, Senator Blumenthal, and myself have now made these FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests. My experience in the first Trump administration, when they likewise stonewalled oversight, is sometimes FOIA is a quicker process to get answers because you can go to court to enforce them than even congressional oversight, particularly here where Republicans aren't willing to do it.
You know, that's so sick because, listen, Donald Trump can be out of office in a 24-hour period. He could be impeached in Congress and then removed in the Senate within a 24-hour period. Maybe, an 8-hour period, maybe less, right? So the reality is that everything people are experiencing, any type of corruption that you have to watch be discussed openly on the news and see Congress and the Senate do nothing about, I mean, these people have to be held accountable. It is literally their job. It's literally their job, and I don't understand. Like, in my view, I know a lot of American people are out there pissed off about this demonstrating. But I got to tell you, it seemed like there would be more. Seemed like it would be more and the reason why I say that is because it is literally your own life. Like, what could the excuse be? Let's think about it like this. An ICE agent. Let's say an ICE agent, right? That's out there picking up illegal, quote unquote, immigrants. Shouldn't the ICE agent want to know about Tom Homan if he took the money? If they care about anything, care about the society, care about corruption in the U.S., care about crime, shouldn't they want to know? Wouldn't they be demanding to know? But in this case, you're seeing people say, I'm okay with criminality because the people involved share the same politic as me. Like, that is low because, I don't care that Bill Clinton is a Democrat. If he's in the Epstein files, he should be prosecuted. You see what I mean? Like, that doesn't make, that is weird. And it seems like there's a lot of people that are very, very comfortable being partisan with things that impact their actual life, the quality of their life. I mean, crime doesn't have a political party. Crime is just crime. Rape doesn't have a political party. It's just rape. You see what I'm saying? Grifting off the taxpayers doesn't have a political party. It's just grifting off the taxpayers. You know, so I'm at a loss how people could turn those things into party. Hold on, what bit say? I don't think people believe it is actually happening. They're waiting for someone to do something. They will wait until it's too late. Yeah, like, because the thing is that there is a job for the citizen, and the job for the citizen is demanding. That's the job, especially when you're dealing with something like corruption, because once people see that you're okay with it, you know, one time, why not do it again? If you don't make noise, if you don't demand better, why not? This is really about the morals and the ethics that the country is going to function on. And it's a democracy. I mean, it's supposed to be the people pay taxes to make the government run, right? Everybody, they take tax dollars out of your wages every single time you get paid, right? So they need you to do that but the deal is they're supposed to deliver. They're supposed to answer questions. They're supposed to, take action. And in any case, on to the next little crazy shit. Now, that was Tom Homan. That was Tom Homan. Now, this is Steve Miller's. This is Steve Miller's crazy ass wife, right? What's her name? Katie Miller. Is that her name? Right. And of course, this is CNN, and CNN is annoying as hell because it seems almost like they want to be actors, have actors on there that are just, a person may be paid just to have, no matter what, always try to give an excuse for the right. And it's like it's like on Fox now, they have one woman who like argues Democrat, quote unquote, points from the left. But this shit is legacy media, man. So at the end of the day, they're not really going to bring the stories that matter the most, I don't think. Right. And they're not going to cover the news in a way that makes people want to demand more out of their government. That they won't do. You see what I mean? They'll get more caught up in the left and the right debacle and this kind of thing, but they won't inspire citizens to know their rights. They won't inspire citizens to do something, to stand up for themselves. Right. Because it is their tax dollars. They don't seem to really get down to providing some real critical information to citizens just to make the society healthy. It doesn't seem like the legacy media's job is like they don't care if the society is healthy or not. Like the society can be overrun by by molesters. And they will just sit there and act like they don't notice it or don't see the degrading in the moral fabric of the country. Like that bothers me a lot.
And it's Marjorie Taylor Greene's fault.
What's up, Edward?
That she thought that Trump was an isolationist.
No, actually,
I think part of the problem is that Trump,
America first.
Now we're going to listen to a person who, for political reasons, who claims to be a Jew. Like, I'm going to tell you, when somebody tells me they're anything, I don't give a fuck. I don't believe it. I don't care. You can tell me you are anything. Prove me. Show me how you're good. Show me how you're good. Show me how you follow your religion. Show me. Don't just tell me. Show me. Right? So I never listen to people. To me, it doesn't matter when someone says, I'm this. I'm a Muslim. I'm a Jew. I'm a Christian. I'll be like, yo, okay, sure. And I'm a, I'm a rapper. I'm a salad. You know what I'm saying? I'm a steak dinner, yo. You can say any damn thing, and but right here we're about to see on CNN, we are about to see a person claim that they're a Jew and at the same time say they uphold their right to anti-Semitic speech. Like, what the fuck? Does that make sense? Like, somebody seems to be missing the fucking point here. Like, I do not stand by anybody's right to be a fucking bigot, to make bigoted speech. And definitely not towards me or my ethnic group, but this is how far people will cap. They cap this far. Now, all of a sudden, the new thing is you're supposed to stand up for people's freedom to say bigoted things towards you. Like, what's going on here? That's actually not what you're supposed to do.
Vision for politics is whatever Trump
This is
wants.
some crazy shit.
And all of those other people, but Scott, there are isolationists in the MAGA tent. What happens to them? Do they just go away? Do they just go away?
Look, here's the deal. A lot of people tried to ascribe their own personal views to Trump, and they tried to, I guess, influence him into their own personal views or make their...
No, what the fuck? He's the president. Nobody's trying to ascribe him into their personal view. He has a goddamn job. It's a fucking title. President of the United States. You get paid by the taxpayers for a specific job. Nobody's trying to personalize anything. If anyone's trying to personalize something, it's Trump. It's the parties making it's the Republican Party trying to make everything personal. It's not supposed to be personal. It's supposed to be textbook a job. You're supposed to follow and understand the rules of the game and what your purpose is to enhance and better the American people's lives. I don't understand what they're talking about personal. It's not like nobody want to hang out with the fucking president. That's not what your people voted for you so they can hang out at a party with you, or so they can know what you feel personally about, what kind of cheese you like and what kind of champagne you think is the best and the best golf club. No one wants to fucking personalize it. This is weird but of course, see, this is what I mean. CNN. This is CNN, and Fox will do the same thing. CNN is basically just the left of the same corporate structure that doesn't want that wants to suck up all the tax dollars, but doesn't want people to have universal health care or doesn't want everyone to have access to education.
Trump's
Trump's
vision for politics is whatever Trump wants.
No.
And all of those other people, but Scott, there are isolationists in the MAGA tent. What happens to them? Do they just go away? Do they just go away?
Look, here's the deal. A lot of people tried to ascribe their own personal views to Trump, and they tried to, I guess, influence him into their own personal views or make their personal views stick to him. He has actually, on the issue of Iran, shown extreme moral clarity about this for decades. He has always said they cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. In his first term, he fired cruise missiles into Syria. We took out Soleimani. Trump has never been an isolationist, and anybody walking around in 2025 who thinks that he is being willfully blind or just stupid. He has been for smart engagement. He's not for adventurism, but he's been for smart engagement since he came on the national scene.
Steve Bannon said to Axios, Trump knows his movement's base better than anyone, but a lot of his base feels that he's spending too much time on Palestine and not enough on East Palestine, Ohio.
So listen, the fact is that Donald Trump doesn't have politics, and I'm tired of people ascribing a politic to Donald Trump. He has interests, and most of those interests revolve around himself. And I think people realize that Donald Trump is very transactional. And at the end of the day, the transactions that Donald Trump makes usually benefit in some way his worldview, himself, his family, his politics. That's first and foremost. And the thing that bothers me the most is that people think, for example, that MAGA, I know you mentioned Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. MAGA's like, it's Ticketmaster. It's non-transferable. If J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio think they're about to inherit the MAGA base, there's nothing about J.D. Vance. Let me put a bow on this. One more thing. Because what they don't realize is that even a part of this MAGA base, the fact that we're even mentioning Nick Fuentes, he's 4'11", he's misogynistic, and he's anti-Semitic, but yet he is somebody who has the pulse of the Republican base right now. They need to excise him.
That's absolutely
Nick
false.
does not have the pulse of the Republican base. It's what Democrats want to say to divide the Republican base when that isn't true. But I want
to. Somebody said in the chat they will stop at nothing to rattle Trump's second term. Critical thinker, how much is your health care and what state do you live in? What health care provider do you have? Yeah, let me know that. I'm just curious. And are prices down in the state you live in? What state do you live in? Critical thinker. I'm just checking because sometimes it just troll. I have the chat open, so it could be a troll. So.
To go back to something really quick.
Tucker Carlson was just bowing in front of him.
Tucker Carlson hosted him on his show. He did not bow, nor did he kneel.
But you mentioned
Nick Fuentes.
You mentioned J.D. Vance, and he also did not denounce Tucker for hosting Nick Fuentes.
I mean, what are we talking
about? So what does it say that Vance didn't feel like part of what if he wants to lead?
Yo, click the like button, everybody, as you come in. We just getting started.
The Republican Party, part of what he has to do is to police the boundaries of what's acceptable and what's not, and not say, "Hey, Tucker, unacceptable. Don't do that."
It's not up to you or myself to police speech in our country.
I mean, shouldn't it be up to J.D. Vance to say this is not part of our movement?
Are you okay? Are you okay with Nick Fuentes?
I see you, Eric.
Here we go. I'm a Jew. Do you want to go there and
look
to say this is not?
And think about this. See how the question is like. She says that and she says she's a Jew. Do you really want to go there? What are you talking about? This is the United States of America. Listen, in World War II. Let me see something. Let me pull this data up real quick. In World War II, right? Because the United States, our citizens, our family members fought against the Nazi Party, like for real, in real life. And there's a lot of people that came to America after that period and don't realize that. Don't realize that actual American families sacrificed their brothers, their fathers, Some people sacrifice some families sacrifice both male children. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's not an easy thing when your family members die for something, right? Now, and we die in a lot of conflicts, but this was one of them, right? Now, it says in World War II, 183,000 military personnel were killed just in Europe alone, just in Europe. Okay, 100, and then total, right? Outside of Europe, just total together, Europe. Let me see here. Total battle deaths. 200, almost 300,000 battle deaths in World War II, right? That's the entire field. Okay. And deaths inside of Europe, right? Were what? What was it? What did I say there? 183,000, right? Wounded in the European theater, just in Europe, wounded 560,000. 560,000. You see, that's a lot of people. And so, no American is asking about this shit about fascism or Nazis as a joke. It's a question to every goddamn body, because apparently there's people, you have them today, that actually are saying they stand up for Nazis' right to speak anti-Semitic speech to them. Like, I don't get it. I don't get that. Next thing you know, they're going to be saying you have the right to hold up the Nazi flag, because that's freedom of speech too, right? Is that what it's supposed to be? I mean, I'm telling you, this is bullshit. This argument that they're throwing out, it doesn't hold water at all. It doesn't. That argument is not, I don't even see how that shit could hold up in the Supreme Court unless you got a corrupt Supreme Court. Because it makes no damn sense. It makes no sense. The Nazi Party was the enemy of the United States of America. They were our enemies. We went to war against them. Okay? The things that they did, we were against. Very simple.
Part of our movement.
Are you okay? Are you okay with Nick Fuentes?
Here we go. I'm a Jew. Do you want to go there? And let's say this.
Yeah, I just asked the question. Was yes or no?
Yes, I'm okay. If Nick Fuentes wants to be able to speak freely in our country, he has every right to do so. Do I agree with his views? Do I think that they should become mainstream in our country?
Yes or no question.
Absolutely not. But hold on. I really want to go back to this for 1 second.
But this isn't about whether he can speak freely. It's about whether someone like Tucker Carlson, who is a very powerful force in the conservative movement.
You host people on your show all the time who call my husband and myself a Nazi. So how is that any different from Tucker Carlson going on Nick Fuentes having Tucker Carlson on his show?
So you see that comparison she's given? That is an interesting one.
conservative movement.
You host people on your show all the time who call my husband and myself a Nazi. So how is that any different from Tucker Carlson going on Nick Fuentes having Tucker Carlson on his show? It's not different.
He's actually
anti-Semitic. He's anti-Semitic.
A Hitler admirer. Nick Fuentes is actually a Hitler admirer.
But he literally is not a good
That is a different thing.
Excuse me, you have Jennifer Welch on your show very often, and you've never pushed back as she has called my husband a white nationalist.
Hold on.
That is no different than Nick Fuentes going on Tucker Carlson's show. It's not, and you should admit it.
Well, hold on. Wait, hold on. How is it anything similar? It's not remotely similar at all. Nick Fuentes sits around and says that he likes Hitler. How is that
what does
similar
Katie have to do with it? What does she have to do with it? She has nothing to do with it. Literally nothing.
Scott, Katie is the person.
Now, see, they're doing all this theater just to make Americans think that fascism is okay. That it's okay to be a Nazi. That's basically what they're doing. They're explaining. They're Nazi-splaining, right? They're trying to give plausibility to Nazi speech, to Nazi ideology, and they're in a country where people kill people over this stuff. You know, they're in a country where 300,000 almost Americans died in Europe fighting the Nazi party. And then we have to sit up here and listen to people that are making fun of it. This is making fun of those deaths. Like, this is, if you ask me, they're making fun. They're making a game out of this. Like, people's lives are not affected in real life. You know, something is very, very wrong with this. And again, I'm just saying, like, this is, I call CNN the left Fox. They're just doing the exact same thing Fox is doing, except on the left. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a Democrat, but this is propaganda here, because what they're doing is claiming to be presenting two sides of an argument. But the problem is that one side of the argument is completely erroneous. You can't promote Nazism in the United States of America. You shouldn't be doing that. No station, no political party should be giving credence to that. None. Like, straight up. You shouldn't do it. Look at how fast the Senate went the other day. Was it the Senate or Congress, and passed some silly little bill saying it's just a theater bill. It's just it has no implications to anybody, but it's a bill saying they're against socialism, just out of the blue after Mondani was elected, right? You see how fast they did that? Why can't you do the same thing? Where's the bill against fascism? Where's the bill against Nazism in America? Right? But yet they're literally on stage right now trying to make it seem like it's okay to be a political party with Nazis in it. Like, straight up. This is what they're doing. That's a step too far.
Person who just said to me that it is comparable.
And okay, Amy, I dig Amy and everything, but it doesn't change the fact that she's an employee. She's an employee for CNN. So she has rules she got to follow. She does a good job presenting her case. I agree with her a lot. She has some great insights, but there still is theater, because you don't have everyone involved is not speaking from the heart. Like, you know, straight up, the guy, what's his name on the right now, in the furthest to the right, he's just going to argue anything against anything somebody on the left says. He's going to argue the opposite. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make any sense what he's saying. You see what I mean? Like, he literally gets caught out there in the open. People have to tell him, but you said this 1 year ago. You said the exact opposite. You said President Trump was this, this, and this. And then he never can explain it. You see what I mean? So he's just paid puppet, essentially, you know, and Fox has the same thing. That's the problem. American people shouldn't have to put up with this bullshit.
To say that Nick Fuentes, who is literally a neo-Nazi, is the same as somebody, a liberal, who has an opinion, who is not a neo-Nazi. They are not
a hateful opinion.
The same.
How do you want? Excuse me. Just let's go back to this point one more time.
But
Nick
Katie,
Fuentes can espouse an opinion on Tucker Carlson's show.
It is not the same.
Look, how can you be going around after students, Muslim students, saying that they're anti-Semitic, getting them kicked out of school, right? Getting them kicked out of school. But then on the second hand, you flip the script and you argue for a Nazi. Like, okay, if someone, you see what I'm saying? That this is what's going on in everybody's face. In everybody's face. You know, so this is just bullshit. I don't get it. And I don't know why they don't bring up, like right now when she's saying this, because she is a Jew, right? The first thing I would, or she says she is, right? The first thing I would think of is that, okay, well then what about the speech on the college campuses? Do you agree with them being kicked out of their school? Right. So why isn't Nick Fuentes punished? Why aren't they rejecting people like that from their roundtables, from their news stations? Why aren't they doing that with Nick Fuentes? You see what I mean? It should be the same thing, but it's not here. There's no equality in it. It's like one side is expected to totally, do everything to get rid of any type of bias, and the other side is allowed to harbor bias. Only that, just harbor loads and masses of a mass amount of bias and never have to explain it. It's crazy.
Didn't push back the same way you didn't push back when someone called someone in my family.
Hold on a second.
It's not different.
Hold on a second.
I just wanted to see the drama because there was a lot of people have been talking about this, but I think it's somewhat bullshit. Like the arguments that are being made, I don't think they go far enough.
It's not.
If
not for people with a whole lot of money and seem to claim to train a lot of people in journalism.
someone comes on this show and says, I love Hitler.
Do me a favor, click the like button, y'all. Thank you.
And I admire what he did.
We just getting started.
They would never, first of all, I would never invite them on the show and they would never be invited back. So those two things are not the same thing.
But yet you've gone on Jennifer Welch's podcast. It's the same thing.
They are not the same thing.
What I think is so, what I find
Listen,
so,
but Katie, but hold on, Katie.
No, we can
do you
agree,
believe that Jennifer Welch has a right to say something negative about your husband?
The same way Nick Fuentes has the right to say what he wants to say.
So you think that it's okay? Hold on. Do you think it is okay for Jennifer?
See, and this is where it gets so weird, because she's going to try to cap so far, to say that you could talk about my husband, you could talk about my kids, just to protect Nick Fuentes' right to be a Nazi. It doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not logical.
Jennifer Welch, is she allowed to say something negative about your husband?
Absolutely, and it's your job as a moderator then to push back.
So that's the first thing.
It's the same way you're asking Tucker Carlson to push back against Nick Fuentes.
But hold on, Nick Fuentes.
Is it not different?
Nick Fuentes is espousing, he's not describing someone else as a Nazi. He is saying, I admire Nazis.
Look, and see, this is the thing. When you have Jewish people actually giving credence to Nazis, this is what you're watching right here. A Jewish person giving credence to Nazis. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. She can have any argument that she wants. It doesn't make sense. Yours as a come on, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. I do not stand for anybody's goddamn right to speak hate speech. I don't. Not anti-Semitic, not Islamophobic, not homophobic, not anti-black, not anti-women. Come on, what is this? And these are the people that we're supposed to trust. These are the people we're supposed to trust. But they're not demanding better of anybody. They're not holding a standard better than the standard. Again, the standard should be that they're holding is worse than a lot of crackheads, because even a crackhead, would know that anti-Semitism is wrong. Okay. And they're not even trying to keep it there, just on that level. They're like, nope, it's okay. It's okay. I have to say Nazism is okay. Who the fuck said you have to say it's okay? What the hell is that? Nobody's expecting that. I hope you ain't expecting it from me. That's weird. That is weird. And you know what? If I was capping, trying to give credence to people that were anti-Semitic, folks would come down on my ass. If I was capping to anybody that was being homophobic, there would be backlash from the LGBT community. There would be backlash from the Jewish community if I was trying to give credence to anti-Semitism. But here you actually have a Jewish person who's actually saying, no, those things are wrong. I mean, she's not saying that the backlash is wrong, but she's giving credence to him saying it. So if you're giving credence to him saying it, how are you going to be for the backlash too? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense, but.
You don't think that's a different thing?
Do you believe my husband's a Nazi? You allow someone on your show to say it.
Do you think those things are different or not?
I don't think anybody around
the same equitable comparison for Nick Fuentes to go on Tucker Carlson's show as you to have people to have on your show.
You are making a comparison of two things that are not in any way the same. I acknowledge and listen, when
it's
people
happened more than once, Abby.
But hold on.
Nobody is attacking the Republican Party for their race, for their gender, for their sexual orientation, right? Even for their conservatism, if they want to call it that. It's not conservatism at all because they waste money everywhere, right? And you can see where they're at with values. This shows you where they're at with values. That's not conservative. You know, giving credence to Nazis is not, to anti-Semitism is not conservative. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, so I don't see how the comparison is there. It's just like her saying, you know, because it's a political party, because they function under the guise of a political party, that it must therefore be the same. No, it's not the same at all. You know, and I'm starting to think that if someone was degrading her as a woman and degrading all women, that she would be perfectly fine with it. Like, is this the best we got for our society? Is this the best we got? No wonder you got a guy whose best friend is the most prolific pedophile sex slave trafficker in the country. No wonder, if that's the standards.
At one point, it's a common occurrence.
When people say their opinions, I don't endorse them, but I also am not responsible for their opinions.
So doesn't that apply to Tucker Carlson?
That is different from a person themselves describing themselves as a hate monger.
Is Tucker Carlson responsible for Nick Fuentes' opinion?
Facts.
So, but hold on a second.
It's not a difference of opinion. This is about hate and spreading hate.
Again, I am also not a Republican Party official or a Democrat Party official.
Neither is
and
Tucker
so I'm
Carlson.
asking you about you as a Republican and who you think is the leader of your party, right?
Right
and
now, it's President Donald Trump.
And I'm asking your opinion, okay? If you think that J.D. Vance is that person, do you think that he should be sitting at a table and nodding along with Nick Fuentes? Yes or no?
I don't believe J.D. Vance has ever sat and nodded along with Nick Fuentes.
Do you think that Tucker Carlson? Do you think it is okay for J.D. Vance to think it's okay for Tucker Carlson?
Right, because I mean, she doesn't want to say it because maybe he will or maybe he won't. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. But the truth is that they all will because they're all normalizing it. So it's no point in not just saying yeah, because once you normalize it with one person in your party, right? Once this is normalized in your party, it applies to everybody in your party. You know, your party has to handle it. But in any case, you got to own what you are, basically. And if they want to have anti-Semites in there and they want to have homophobes in their party and they want to have, anti all types of stuff, then go for it. That's what you have to own. You see what I mean? You shouldn't run away from it. You should own it.
Details about one of those deadly U.S. strikes on alleged drug boats in the Caribbean. Sources tell CNN the U.S. military carried out a follow-up strike on September 2nd after becoming aware of survivors in the water. The sources tell us that prior to the strike, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth had ordered the military to ensure everyone on board was killed. People briefed on the, quote, double tap strike say they're concerned that it could violate the law of armed conflict, which prohibits the execution of an enemy combatant who is taken out of the fight due to injury or surrender. Now, since September, as you're seeing on your screen here, the U.S. military has carried out at least 21 known strikes on suspected drug trafficking boats, killing at least 83 people. Officials have also acknowledged, though, not knowing the identities of everyone on board.
Pete Hegseth is going to go to jail over this, to the international court. I'm pretty sure he might be one of the first Americans to ever go because he's not a president. He's not Netanyahu. He's not Putin. He's a subordinate, and subordinates of Putin have gone to the International Criminal Court and been jailed. You know what I'm saying? Subordinates tend to. He might be the first U.S. one.
Before they are struck. And this development comes as President Trump says the U.S. military will soon begin land strikes on alleged drug trafficking networks in Venezuela. I want to bring in Beth Stanner, a CNN national security analyst and former deputy director of national intelligence. Thank you for taking the time. I just want to start with getting your reaction to the reporting we have here that double tap strikes were ordered to make sure everybody on board was killed.
Right. If this is true,
yeah,
it's really shocking.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about this in the context of Ukraine. And right now, Russian soldiers are being accused of war crimes, and their cases in the International Court of Justice because they're killing prisoners, Ukrainian armed combatants who are prisoners, and they're killing them instead of, keeping them as prisoners. So, I mean, here we have an example of an actual war and war crimes.
Exactly, because they have a video, and they're not going to be able to show that that the person was a threat to them once, when they're in the water holding on to a blown up ship or a blown up boat. You see what I mean? So at that point, there's nothing they can do. You could try to make up as much shit as you want, but it's not going to work. And also, in this case, since there's people lying, there's obviously a lot of people lying and changing their stories in this case also. So it doesn't seem like Hegseth is going to be able to really defend himself because, he will try, of course, but he's not standing there alone. There's too many people in the chain. You see what I mean? That witnessed the events. And if everyone is not willing to lie for him personally, which, by the way, I'm not sitting around lying for nobody personally like that. You see what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? If it's not my own child, then why the hell would I be up there capping for them like a grown ass man who wants to give orders like that? Like, hell fucking no. That's not my burden to carry on my shoulders, somebody else's personal bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this shit is going to take his ass down.
Accusation. So here, what does this do, in terms of U.S. moral authority? There's
exactly something that a lot of people don't seem to give a damn about anymore. MAGA people, moral authority in conflicts. I mean, our administration is throwing moral authority straight out the window. So the truth of the matter is that people don't like the U.S. military right now more than ever. Like, they resent the U.S. People just all around, not just the military. People resent the U.S. abuse of power in this administration. It's just widespread. It's widespread. People you had two types. You had people that didn't like Biden and people that like Biden. Well, at this point, it's very interesting because even the people that didn't like Biden don't like Trump. That's crazy. That's not a good thing. Usually, it could flip when it's equal, when it's balanced policy, somewhat balanced policy. But right now, people are looking at the U.S. with Trump. They're looking at the U.S. like not a reliable partner in anything and only a partner that is in it for itself, but not even its own people. Like, just only greedy people at the top, like straight up.
Reporting this week of Israel, of IDF soldiers killing Palestinian prisoners, Hamas prisoners. How can we go to Israel and say, like, you shouldn't have done that?
Exactly. And this is the same thing. This is a lesson for Maduro also, because Maduro had an opportunity to stand up against Putin invading Ukraine, but he basically capped for Putin. He basically, said he agreed with it, that it's fine. Well, look, the person who's closest to Putin is Trump. And look what Trump is doing. So now Trump is going after Maduro. You see what I mean? And so that's how it actually works out. So the best way to stay out of that trouble is just, no matter who it is, stand up for justice, no matter who it is. Keep the same standard, no matter who it is. Is invading people's country wrong? Then just say so. It shouldn't matter who you're talking about. Just say so. You see what I mean? Just say so. If it's bad in Ukraine, if it's bad in Palestine, isn't it bad in Ukraine? If it's bad in Ukraine, isn't it bad in Palestine? I mean, it is for me. It is for me. It's also bad invading Venezuela. It is for me, but I'm not like everybody else. That's why I do my own shit publicly, so people know where I stand on stuff, because with this kind of stuff, you don't want it to be any type of mistake what type of person you are. You see what I mean? Like, Nah. I don't want to hang around nobody that makes an excuse about Ukraine or Palestine or Venezuela. You see what I mean? I ain't doing that. That's bullshit. You see what I mean? Like, I want people to know I'm a stand-up guy and I stand on what I stand on, principle. You see what I mean? But when you look at this kind of debacle, you see a lot of flip-flopping on principles when it comes to who's doing something. All of a sudden, people, all of a sudden they're for invasion. They wasn't for invasion with Palestine, but a lot of those people that are not for invasion with Palestine, for some reason, were okay with Ukraine being invaded. And some of the people that are not okay with Ukraine being invaded, they are okay with Palestine being invaded. And then on top of that, and again, I'm not either one of those people. Then on top of it, you add Maduro's ass in there. And now what? You see what I mean? I mean, it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. When you don't stand on principle, you get the world you get, which is a hot mess. There is no standards across the board. You see what I mean? It's just a matter of who you like personally more, and then the rules change.
Or Russia.
Yeah. This arena
IDF soldiers killing Palestinian prisoners, Hamas prisoners. How can we go to Israel and say, like, you shouldn't have done that?
Exactly.
Or Russia.
Yeah.
This
arena we've been talking a lot about Venezuela on a number of fronts. Obviously, there are these efforts that the administration says they're going after drug trafficking boats. There is the not so subtle pushes against Nicolas Maduro that President Trump has been leading. But the president also says that land action would now be part of the administration's effort to deter Venezuelan drug traffickers. I just wonder what you think about that threshold being crossed here.
It's a big threshold,
yeah.
Right? I mean, right now we're in international waters, but when you're talking about strikes in a sovereign country against, these are drug traffickers, bad people, but it is still in another country. And so there usually has to be a justification. And there is a process for that. You can get authorization for use of military force from Congress that helps on that. But there's an entire international legal system too. And that's what people are worried about.
Yeah, Remy.
Kind of in this context.
Remy, I see your comment. I don't know about believing in CNN, but I served and retired. I mean, listen, most of my viewers, not all of my viewers, obviously, right? But most of my viewers are 35 and above, right? Something like that, 40 and above, right? And, almost one third is 65 and above. So I have a lot of adult listeners, right? I think for most adult people, you can see that CNN is corporate news, but I'm not bringing it up to diss Abby or to diss, they have some good points on there sometimes, right? But the thing about it is that I don't believe any media, although, you do have different media sources. But one thing you got to bring to the table when you're looking at any media is you have to bring your own cognitive skills, your thinking skills too. How intelligent you are is what allows you to read between the lines and see what's missing in the reporting. You have to do that as an individual. So, of course, you shouldn't believe in any, I wouldn't expect you believe or, but also, it doesn't have to be conspiracy. This is obviously, it's not a conspiracy. CNN is corporate news. It's corporate news. You know what I mean? They got some of Trump's tax write-off. It's not left, it's center corporate. So, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think most of my listeners believe any goddamn news, any news media outlet. We're pretty clever here. We can read through them all. Now, MSNBC is a little stronger, on the reporting, I would say. But CNN is taking a back seat. I would say they're closer to Fox right now. But I appreciate your comment. Both, let me see here. You served in Iraq and Afghanistan. There you go. And thank you for your service, by the way. Thank you for your service, and I myself do understand the importance of the U.S. being out there in the world. People that are, there was another comment. Let me see. I'll give you an idea of what I mean, Remy. Here's a comment here. I don't know who wrote this, but somebody named Robin wrote this. If they resent America, then they can get the hell out. Okay, you don't go many places, do you, Robbie? But because this is our home as citizens. I prefer Trump because he is protecting America. I can give a damn about what other weird countries think. You see, so that was the most ignorant you could get out of an American citizen, because you could see how small their world is, right? Because they wouldn't understand why the military is out there. Let me tell you. The U.S. military is not out there because just for a happenstance, just because it wants to. You know, people always say, you know, listen, if you don't want to be out there in the world, then get ready to cut your own meat every goddamn day and pick your own vegetables every goddamn day and sew your own clothes. Just get to it. Hurry up, because right now you're not fucking doing it. You're not doing it in the U.S. You're not. So for the people that don't know, people like buying stuff from a whole lot of other countries, American people, for people that don't know. And somebody's got to protect that trade. It's protecting your business. It's protecting your GDP. That's what that's about. So when people are like, I don't care about these weird nations. Well, who you calling people weird that stand side to side with the U.S. and stand up with us? Are they weird because they're allies? Are allies weird? You see, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. You don't even know how your country got wealth if you're calling your own allies weird. Okay? No country can do it alone. Make that be very, very clear about that. Zero. It just, the cleverness in the U.S. is that it seeks to engage and work together with other people. That's how the U.S. got powerful. That's how. Before World War I, man, the U.S. wasn't a superpower. It was fucking broke. It was broke. Did you know that? That's not too long ago. That's not too long ago. Do you want to know what kind of broke the average American was? Piss poor broke. Okay, so, you know, maybe people forgot. Maybe some people forgot that, you know. So the United States got wealthy engaging the world. It didn't get wealthy and powerful sitting back and within its own borders saying, hey, fuck everybody else. They're weird. You know what I mean? That's not how it happened. So, you know, you might want to know that.
Context of the video that the Democratic senators put out recently about defying illegal orders, and the question about whether people who are conducting them could be subject to being prosecuted. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot involved here. I do wonder, though, whether President Trump actually will do it, or whether we're just kind of in this game of chicken. I was thinking about this because he has this quote that he said in another context about, waiting until the very last minute to make a decision about conducting such an activity, because,
exactly, make Argentina great again. I mean, that's what Trump is doing. You hear this person? Trump is a great person. He's a great president, I don't care what any of those other weirdo countries say. You don't care what your allies say. But that's a mentality that we have in the U.S. We have American people that don't care about other American people. That's very special for a country. That's very special. There's a cat that I know on his Facebook page. The brother's name is Daryl. I forget his last name, but he makes 20-second posts, videos every maybe 10 a day, right? And one of the videos was what do you owe as an American citizen? What do you owe to each other? And people were writing back nothing. Let me tell you, that answer, nothing, is a very peculiar answer, and it explains a lot about why there's so many gun deaths in the United States of America, why there's so much homelessness in the United States of America, why there's so much hate in the United States of America, like why there's so much gender violence in the United States of America. It explains why there's why the healthcare center is not rated #1 in the world. It explains why the educational system is like down number 40 in the goddamn world. It's the richest country on earth, and the education system rates number 40. Like, it explains a lot. It explains a lot. Great countries, you know, the countries that tend to function a little better have less crime, right? The countries where the citizens take home more money in their pocket after they pay their taxes and after they pay their expenses, those countries tend to have people that care about each other, actually. And see, Americans often are so hateful of each other, they don't realize somebody else in another country is actually keeping more of their money. They don't get it. Americans think being individuals in a race against each other is how you keep more of your money in your pocket. No, it's how someone comes along and takes it from you, being an individual 100% like that. Too individual, you know, and arrogantly individualistic, like individual and be poor, individual and be middle class. Like, a lot of people confuse being middle class with being wealthy. You know, seriously, they will go out and buy a car, right? Lease a car that costs a certain amount, right? And then actually feel like they're doing well because they're leasing a car. People haven't even paid off their house and they actually feel like they're doing well. You see what I mean? Like, the Americans tend to feel really, really good when they're insecure, like straight up. They just don't know they're insecure. You can see it by their behavior. But if you look, you know, at the paper, you would know they're insecure. You could see it by the behavior. But if you ask them, they will tell you they're doing well.
Or things change.
They will tell you they're doing well right now under Donald Trump. I'm serious.
Change. That's the quote. And so, you know, sometimes
and people will be looking at them like, damn, really?
You know, we don't really know where we're either up to that line of the last minute or whether we're still in this kind of pressure campaign trying to see if something will happen.
Somebody said, I'm middle class, but Magtard steak. You know, listen, it's nothing being middle class and secure. Middle class and secure. That is dope. That is rich. You see what I mean? But what is middle class? You should be able to have health care and education, pay your bills, right? Pay your taxes, and still have money left over after you paid all your expenses, food and everything, clothes and everything, and still have money left over as a middle class person. Is that the case in the U.S. or are people living check by check? You tell me.
Inside Venezuela, whether this kind of pressure will generate activity to oust Maduro.
Well, I was going to say, a lot of people are looking at, okay, is this all part of an encroachment effort to oust Nicolas Maduro, who President Trump has said his days are numbered? Earlier this week, the president designated Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his government allies as members of a foreign terrorist organization. I just wonder...
Look, same person talking about Trump is doing well. Trump, he cares about America. And you go in and you're attacking a neighbor. You're attacking a country in your own vicinity for what? What is the purpose? Let me tell you something. I'm just going to give you a little guess right now. There is no way in hell Venezuelans are going to let the United States of America take their fucking country. Like, do you understand that? So Trump is bluffing largely. He's not going to get his hands on that oil. You could be sure of that. He's not getting his hands on that oil. So you could cough this up as a waste of fucking time because, you know, I hear people saying, yeah, it's the oil. Like, that's something he can get his hands on. No. How long you think they've been trying that one? That shit ain't going to work. What are you talking about? No one in South America, Central America, no one in the world wants the United States getting Venezuela's oil. And it's not because they like whether they like Maduro or not. It has nothing to do with Maduro. See, that's the thing about it. Even people that disagree with Maduro disagree with the United States of America and its tactics under Trump right now. You see what I mean? Even the people that were against Maduro in Venezuela don't want the U.S. fucking attacking their country. What the fuck? And Americans that support Trump are too stupid to see that? That shit is crazy.
We've got these individual sort of storylines popping up. What do you see as...
Man, they sell oil to the world. Okay? Somebody said it's being processed in Texas already. Listen, no duh. And not only Texas. Did you know that? All the places they sell oil to. Did you know that? You think the U.S. you think Venezuela is just... Man, listen. Venezuela functions on its oil right now. So it's selling oil to people. It's selling oil to a lot of people, and those people that buy their oil sell it to other people. Did you know that also? But here's the thing. Trump is the one down there. Trump is the one with this little fake game going on with them, trying to make some excuse about, oh, he wants to stop drugs from being distributed from the place that distributes the least amount of it. Like, what the fuck? Whatever happened to fentanyl? You ain't got no problem with China anymore and fentanyl? Fentanyl is killing way more people than fucking cocaine. Like, are you crazy? Fentanyl is killing more people than cocaine, heroin, all the other drugs combined. So what's the issue? What, scared of China or something? Or you got no plan against China, so you go and pick on smaller people? Is that what it is? I think that's what it is. Trump likes to pick on smaller countries. That's pretty much what it is. When it comes to bigger countries, Trump ain't got shit to say, really. That's really what this is about. You see what I mean? And it's easy to pick on countries smaller than you. It's harder to pick on countries bigger than you. That's just what it is.
As the bigger picture here, is the bigger picture to try and get Maduro out of office?
I mean, I think sure. I think, Lindsey Graham has said as much, very close to the president. I think that that's where we are. But I don't think that necessarily means that he's willing to use military force directly.
Somebody said the Chinese are pretty small. Oh, really? What rock did you crawl under? Where are you from? You sure you know what China I'm talking about? I'm talking about the country China. I'm not talking about the Chinese store in your neighborhood. What the hell? I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's MAGA for you. That is MAGA for you.
In terms of trying to do that, whether to snatch him or to kill him. So, again, I think we're going to be in this route.
Oh, okay. It's a joke. Yeah. Okay. I got you, Shelly Belly. Yo. I mean, but what do you think? I mean, why is it that Trump don't have any heat for the home of fentanyl, which is killing all the Appalachian people? What's up with that? All the zombies everywhere where you see zombies. Trump like zombies or something? Like, is that okay for him? I mean, he started off saying in his administration, oh, he's going to go hard on fentanyl, hard on China. What happened? Where did it go? It just disappeared. It's not even on the agenda.
Ratcheting up, and maybe it will entail strikes inside of Venezuela against drug facilities, but that'll be part of a process, again, to see if something will move internally. I think that's the goal.
Yeah. Beth Sanner, always appreciate your insight. We're learning new details about one of those deadly U.S. strikes on alleged drug boats in the Caribbean. Sources tell CNN the U.S. military carried out a follow-up strike on September 2nd after becoming aware of survivors in the water.
Now, do you think that's a hoax story? Do you think that's made up? This thing about that they killed that they killed the survivors. Do you think that's a lefty made up thing, or do you think that's actual real?
We're learning new details about one of those
actually did this. Let me know what you think. I pretty much feel like, yeah, it's real. And, nobody's making it up. It's difficult to just make up, things like that. There's plenty of evidence. There's too many people in the chain. But let me know. With
AI, you can create.
Let me know what you think. If you think it's real, then let me know. I'm just curious about that. Let me see here. What is this? I believe it's definitely real, and I believe it's bad news for the U.S.
Real life,
Let's see
fantasy.
Wow, didn't I just finish that? All right, here we go.
Action against Venezuela that includes taking action on land.
You see? So what's the point in going there on land then? What is this about? I do believe that this is regime change pretty much. And they might be calling it whatever else. They might be saying it's about drugs, but it's really about regime change, and now they might be able to accomplish that somehow. They might be able to accomplish it. But are you for that? What's up, Donnie? I see you. Hey, but are you in favor of regime change? The United States being involved in regime change? Whatever happened to stay out of these conflicts? Stay out of the other, out of other people. Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to that? That used to be a Trump state, a Trump point. We got plenty of oil in the U.S. I mean, what do we need Venezuela for, MAGA? What does Venezuela have that we don't? What do they have that we don't have? I mean, it seems really, really odd. These two, let's see here, typing approved. What is this? Trying to Venezuela to retaliate. Hold on. Yeah, that's true. They are trying to force Venezuela to retaliate. And thank God Venezuela isn't doing that. Because they're not stupid. They're not stupid. They know that Trump is trying to bait them, but yeah, this is just wrong. But let me know, do you how many of y'all are in favor of regime change, of Trump using the U.S. military to get involved in regime change? Because if you putting boots on the ground, first of all, that just sounds so insane. You might do it, but what does that imply? You trying to say you're going to send in? I don't think they're going to do it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to happen. I think people are pissed off. And I think when you piss them off in a country, it tends to unite people more than divide them. And the more united you get people, the harder it is to do these things. Venezuela, I don't think Venezuela is a situation like Libya, and I think a lot of people there's a lot of people with their eyes on it, security forces from other countries, like the neighbors that are interested in what's going on. And I don't think any of them approve of this type of behavior from the U.S., I don't think any of them do, even the U.S. allies.
In recent weeks, you've been working to deter Venezuelan drug traffickers, of which there are many. Of course, there aren't too many coming in by sea anymore. People aren't wanting to be done.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they want, right? It appears regime change will help them get the oil, And yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible because it's definitely not about the drugs. That's bullshit.
Delivering by sea, and we'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier, but that's going to start very soon.
Now, Trump, he seems to be. Listen to the statement. Just listen to the statement. Let me see here. And let's not just listen to what he's saying, because obviously he's answering a question, but just listen to how he talks. Just look at what he has to do here to answer that, to engage the media.
Against Venezuela that includes taking action on land.
In recent weeks, you've been working to deter Venezuelan drug traffickers, of which there are many.
Okay.
Of course, there aren't too many coming in by sea anymore. People aren't wanting to be delivering by sea. And we'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier, but that's going to start very soon.
Okay.
Well, that's
so he's sitting down and he's reading a statement, right? Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. Like, he doesn't look like he's doing too well. And he's sitting here, but he's reading a statement.
You've been working to...
And listen to the statement that he's reading. Why does he even have to read a statement like this? Can't he just say this shit off the top?
Deter Venezuelan drug traffickers, of which there are many. Of course, there aren't too many coming in by sea anymore. People aren't wanting to be delivering by sea. And we'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier, but that's going to start very soon.
Let me see here. Let me see something.
Well, that announcement happened just hours after the US sent more military firepower to the region. And Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth paid a visit to the United States' largest aircraft carrier, which was recently moved to Latin America.
Patrol, or whether it's in our nation's hemisphere, out at sea, interdicting cartels, defending the American people, we are grateful for you.
It's Maduro's message at a military parade on Thursday.
For the last 17 weeks, foreign imperialist forces have been continuously threatening to alter the peace in the Caribbean, in South America, and in Venezuela, under false pretenses and extravagant arguments that no one believes.
CNN's Stefano Pozzebon is joining me now live. So, Stefano, this announcement from Trump appears that he's made a decision on his next plan of action. What's the reaction been like from Venezuela to this?
Yeah, well, I think that Nicolas Maduro's words yesterday, as he was commemorating a failed coup from his predecessor, the late President Hugo Chavez. But again, it was just an occasion for him to portray himself in a position of strength. It's not a coincidence that he was speaking to armed forces, members of the armed military, and especially wearing a green uniform. Well, we've been here before. We've been here for the last 17 weeks. I think that there is inside Venezuela a sense of fatigue around all of these military build-up from the United States that never arrives to the actual critical point. Donald Trump might say that conducting operations on the land, which we understand, we intend to believe that that would mean inside Venezuelan territory. Well, Donald Trump might say that that would be easier. It would be, frankly, much more difficult in terms of coming up with a response to how Maduro would retaliate with that. And this is a game of carrots and sticks that we've been seeing here for the last 4 months. And I think that Maduro and many other people here in Venezuela are still on the edge. And there is a sense of fatigue around that edge because of these geopolitical tensions. We shall see eventually if Donald Trump decides to move forward. A week ago, he was saying that he was open to discussing in person with Nicolas Maduro.
I mean, Venezuelans should understand that if you're going to be in favor of the U.S. regime change, which it looks like here for the sake of, getting control over the oil, if you're in favor of regime change once, then what's your argument for the next time going to be if you're against it? You see what I mean? And I think that's really what it's going to come down to. It's like you're either okay with those kind of things or you're against it. But you can't flip-flop depending on who it is, who your friend is, or who it is that is going to get power. You can't say regime change is okay one way because regime change, right, in this context is anti-democratic. So you can't be pro-democratic and anti-regime change or pro-regime change. I'm sorry. You can't be pro-democratic and pro-regime change, right? Now, the other issue is that I'm curious where the opposition leadership is right now. I haven't heard any public statements made about it, but it seems to me like it would just be good to know. I'm curious why they've been silent, to be honest, because I would think they would be in legacy media right now since you have the U.S. ships all out right there in front of, But let me know what you guys think about this. I mean, do you think Maduro won the election, first of all? Do you think he won the election? Or do you think he didn't win the election? Do you think he lost the election and kept power? And how does that factor into you in this, in terms of what Trump is doing? I mean, does that mean it's okay if Maduro lost and he kept power? Does it mean what Trump is doing is okay anyway? I mean, I'm going to tell you, there are some statements that Maduro made in terms of, support of Russia invading Ukraine, right? There are some. And so it just kind of makes me wonder, like, what's really going on here? It makes me wonder, but let me pull up some more information while I let this play. Let me know your thoughts on that, though. Do you think Maduro won that election or do you think he lost?
been hearing rumors that there
Put a 1 in the chat if you think he won. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he lost. And either way, it doesn't mean you support regime change. But just let me know your thoughts on that one.
may have already been a call. We don't understand that that is the case, by the way, Christina. We understand that the call between Nicolas Maduro and Donald Trump is yet to happen, if indeed it will eventually happen. But at the same time, Donald Trump once again opening the door to a possible military action inside Venezuela that certainly bode well for the government here.
Yeah, that call been talked about for some time. We'll wait to see if it materializes. Stefano, appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. It seems like nobody heard my question in the chat. Let me know if you feel like Maduro lost that last election. Put a 1 in the chat. If you think he won that election fairly, put a 2 in the chat. No. If you think he won the election, put a 1 in the chat. I'm sorry. If you think he won the election fairly, put a 1 in the chat. And if you think he lost the last election, put a 2 in the chat.
Memo from the Department of Justice's Office of Legal Counsel, which says the ongoing boat strikes in the Caribbean are legally justified.
Yeah, do that, Bits. Do that, actually.
As self-defense from cartel violence against U.S. allies, despite a real lack of public evidence. However, a new report from The Guardian highlights how the DOJ's justifications are in stark contrast to President Trump's own explanations behind the strikes. Trump, of course, has been claiming that these are in effort to stop U.S. overdose deaths. Joining us now, White House correspondent.
Who's overdosing on cocaine, man? I'm sorry, but who is? I'm not saying you can't. People do, but I thought the overdose problem was the fentanyl. I thought that was really the problem, you know?
Correspondent for The Guardian and author of that news story, Hugo Lowell. Hugo, good to see you. So talk to us more about what you found in this memo and why it's so important.
Yeah, we spent a lot of...
Oh, somebody said put a 1 if he won fairly, put a 2 if he lost. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what you mean. If you believe Maduro won the last election in Venezuela, put a 1 in the chat. I mean, lost, won. I'm sorry. If you think he won it fairly, if you think he lost it, put a 2. That's all. There's a lot of people that think he rigged the election and lost it. That's why I'm asking. So,
of time looking at this memo because it is the basis on which the administration is resting the entire military campaign and the strikes against these drug boats in the Caribbean and also in the Pacific. And basically what we found with the memo, according to people who read it and seen it directly, was it makes this novel argument that the reason why we are engaged in this military action is because allies in the region like Mexico and Colombia have asked the United States to help them in their drug wars against these cartels. And as the reasoning goes, these drug cartels are engaging in armed violence, which is a very important term of art because it allows the U.S. to start using lethal force if we're in an armed conflict. And it basically says the cocaine that the drug cartels are shipping, that is being trafficked in order to finance the armed violence. And I think that, two really important points about this. One, which is what you say about how Trump has never come out and said that this is the reason why the U.S. is engaged in, basically a war.
Man, but they're not selling cocaine to buy weapons. That's ridiculous. They're selling it to make money. The weapons just help them facilitate it. But to say that they're doing it to buy, I don't know, that is just so weird. Of course, if your only way of making money is selling cocaine, then of course you're not only just buying weapons with it, you're also buying food and shelter and everything else, cars, houses. You're buying boats and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Always said it's about preventing overdose deaths and has framed these drugs as coming in and poisoning America. But that's not what the Justice Department is saying at all. And
exactly. Why aren't we invading Colombia? But look, I don't know what the deal is, why they're saying it like this, because between Colombia and between Venezuela, there is area that the military has never been able to control in either country, and in that area, because of the terrain, that's the area where a lot of this narco stuff is going on, period. You see what I mean? So it's not necessarily, sure, you might have government officials involved, right? But they have investigations. It takes time to find out which ones are involved. It's not the whole damn government involved, you know. And in fact, they spend a lot of time and energy cracking down on them because they're also a threat to their governments. You see what I mean? So this kind of thing, it just, I don't know. It just sounds like it's fabricated, like for people that don't really know people from South America or don't really know the issues there. You see what I mean? It's kind of like trying to explain to somebody what the Crips and Bloods are about outside of the U.S., outside of Los Angeles, outside of California, trying to explain this is how it works. And you see what I mean? You could almost tell them anything you want to tell them because they'll never find out anyway because they never have to live in California, you know?
And when they're trying to justify it internally for legal purposes, they have a completely separate argument. And the second problem with this legal framework, as kind of plausible as it might be on a technical legal perspective, is that it relies on a lot of
Yeah, they do have pedophile protection syndrome, these maggots, man.
Positions which don't have very much public evidence. You're basically thinking about these cartels as their main aim isn't to traffic drugs to make money. It's that they are trying to engage in, little wars and little skirmishes against the security forces of other countries, which is not how the United States or any other country has historically perceived these cartels. And in addition, we're really thinking about, well, did these governments in Mexico and Colombia really come to the United States and say, yes, we have a real problem with these drug wars, so you need to help us destroy the cocaine?
So, I mean, Hugo, this is such interesting reporting, and we know, of course, that in terms of international law...
I mean, look, how are you going to have sanctions on a country and think that that helps control crime? I mean, it doesn't. It just actually helps endorse crime in a way because then local populations become more desperate. You see what I mean? And it's kind of like a failure in policy overall. Sanctions don't work. In this, in fact, they just don't. And in fact, why don't the Americans try to deal with the drug epidemic from their side of the wall? Like, what is driving people to want to use drugs in the first place? What's driving people to want to drink alcohol? Like, I mean, you tell me. You got bars open every week in the United States of America, right? Every day they're open. Maybe 3 days out of the week, a lot of people are going to bars drinking. A lot of people are buying alcohol, going home and drinking. Alcohol is a drug. So what is it about alcohol that Americans need? What is it about it? Why do they just keep doing it? Can't they do without it? Or are they addicted to it? Right. And if they are, if you think alcohol is a bad drug, then how are you going to go about getting Americans to not use it, right? If it's actually bad, because there must be a reason why they use it. So what's the reason? Does it make them feel good? Is that it? Is it a way to feel good for a second? I mean, you tell me, do drugs feel good? I mean, to me, I would think that's what it is. A stress reliever to try to evade stress, try to forget problems, try to get rid of the pain, whatever pain you're having, physical or mental pain, right? I know that at one time I had a pretty physical job, right? A very physical job, and sometimes I was working some long hours too in this job, right? And after work, I wouldn't mind a beer, like one beer, just to relax my muscles, to get my muscles to calm down, right? Because maybe they're a little stressed out, right? And so I know that it has some effect on my body, right? But I'm curious, like, I can see a lot of people don't really like to be honest about their own life. How many? Okay, put a 1 in the chat if you drink alcohol. Put a 1 in the chat if you drink beer from time to time. I'll start off. From time to time, I drink a beer. Boom. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat if you don't drink any alcohol. Let's start there. I don't mind the conversation with the chat. I just want it to be honest. Folks need to be honest. Okay. Now, since you do, the people that said they do, why? What does it do to you when you drink it? Why are you drinking it? I mean, I'm saying why I drink it. I'm curious. I don't know your reason. Maybe your reason is different. Okay, somebody said your Muslim mom does it. I don't, you know what? My mom is not Muslim. I'm not a Muslim. I wouldn't have a problem if she was. But to be honest, you're not here for a fair conversation. So I'm just going to block you. You know how to be fair. There you go. Boom. Keep it. Come on. Let's have a good conversation to relax. There we go. I turned it into ease my. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What the fuck? Sometimes I do it to have some fun. Forget the week. Forget things. That sometimes I may not even know why. When I was younger, I didn't know why. Just to have fun. Just the way to start to have fun. Loosen up a little bit, right? So we got loosen up, have fun, ease the pain, relax. Right. So, I would assume people are using other drugs for the same reason. I would assume that, I would assume people that are using other, that find themselves using other drugs do it for similar reasons. Maybe not the exact same reason, but similar reasons. And the reason why you don't know is because drugs do different things to different people. So for some people it's more mental. Some people it's mental and physical. It could be different. So my thought is that if you really want to help Americans kick drug habits, then help get them in some programs. Help talk to Americans, get them in some psychology, and some get them to see some therapists. You know what I mean? To find out what's the root of the reason, the root of their addictions. Because look, you can always go outside and try to stop somebody from selling some drugs, but if you can't stop your own people from wanting the drugs, you will never stop somebody from selling it to them. You see what I mean? And so I really think a lot of money this is showing to me is that if it's drugs that Trump is talking about, it shows me that we have $1 billion to go chase around. We got billions and billions. I mean, do you know that how much money does it cost to send a ship down to Venezuela? How much money does it cost taxpayers a day to have their USA military in the Caribbean monitoring Venezuela? I'm just over. Let me see over. I'm just curious how much it costs. I don't look into the stuff all the time, so I don't know it off the top of my head. But let's see here. It says that damn, in 2024, this is last year. Look, just last year, the total funding request for drug okay, this is more than Venezuela though. Hold on, because that's different. Right. Command responsibilities. This is 30. Is this the right numbers? This is like hundreds of billions of dollars. Let me see here. Let me see here. I just want to see this real quick. What is it each day? Just to give people an idea, because they do know. Okay. Let me see. What does this say? Listen, y'all, it costs $6.5 million a day, this operation. $6.5 million a day. That's what they estimate. And for me, that to me, it just seems like the money you could probably help a whole lot of people get off drugs, yeah. And I'm sorry, I'm not making excuses for people, but I also don't want to have like a bullshit opinion about this. I tend to try to approach people on a human level. So I know a lot of people that are addicts don't want to be addicts. You see what I mean? I know it's not that simple. You see what I mean? So there's something deeper with addiction, but I just really think that it's much easier to work within your own backyard, within your own fence, within your own nation, to tackle this problem and, really push the population to find other things to do. Because for some reason, I just don't think running around the world trying to, stop other people from selling drugs to your own people who want the drugs. See, that's the thing. They want the drugs. So there lies the problem, I would think. If they don't want the drugs, they wouldn't buy the drugs ultimately, and I know people it turns into an addiction, and that's an ugly thing. But look, people get addicted to alcohol, and what do? Do you stop making the alcohol? Do you go around the world and say, stop making this? People get addicted to this kind of alcohol. Stop making that. I mean, to me, it just seems weird. It just doesn't seems like it's not going anywhere. That how much did they say that was a day? That 3.6 million a day. Is that what it's costing? I think that's what they said. 3.6 million a day. Right. So, but in any case, let's hear some more.
There have been multiple organizations and voices that have come out and said these strikes are in violation of international law. But I wanted to get back to that point about Mexico and Colombia. Would we have to have evidence if they're framing this as being against cartel violence on behalf of regional allies like Mexico and Colombia? Wouldn't we have to have some kind of paper trail showing that the Mexicans and Colombians had come to the White House and said, could you do this for us because we feel we're under attack?
Exactly. Come on.
Yeah, so a senior administration official told us, in our reporting that these allies had come to the United States confidentially and to ask for help, and confidentially because they feared reprisals from drug cartels. But, that it strains credulity a little bit because it's difficult to understand how the Mexican government asking the U.S. for help would suddenly lead to an uptick in violence or particular targeting. So that was the argument offered by the administration. But yes,
somebody said the problem is easy fix. The criminalize and nationalize the drug industry, with a focus on rehabilitation. Yeah, I don't know if that was a typo, but I think it's like decriminalizing some of it would be a start, and because that's driving the criminal part of it. Like it costs more money because it's criminal and people have to create it in hiding. It costs more money because of that. So the criminals want to get paid for that part. They risk going to jail. But if your own country basically, if you could buy it legally within your own country, to me, it seems like it would bring the prices down. You would be able to know who's doing these drugs because, of course, they have to buy it, right? They could have a prescription or something in the meantime. And it seems like the people that are involved in the crime and the dangerous part, you would just have fucked their whole business over. They wouldn't have any more crime left to do. You see what I mean? And I think, to me, it's okay. That's what you meant, decriminalize, right? Yeah, I'm also in favor of that too, to be honest with you. But yeah, I am. That's a good point.
To make a showing that there is a specific request for help for the United States to enter someone else's armed conflict, number one, and number two, for the entire legal framework to work, you're relying on this premise that the cartels are actually not interested in making money primarily, but they're more interested in waging war, which is just not how these cartels have been thought of, I think, ever in the history of how Latin.
Exactly. They're interested in making money. They're not interested in waging war. This is ridiculous, Trump, but listen, to be honest, right now, it doesn't matter because all of this is happening and Congress knows, they know this man is likely having dementia. They know it. And yet they're just going to sit back and listen to every petty ass argument that he makes, and just accept it over and over and over, no matter what. They're going to legitimize his arguments, and his arguments make no sense. It's like, why are we listening to a madman, to a guy who has dementia, it looks like he has dementia? Why are we just giving him every excuse? I mean, over and over and over at this point, I really don't get it. He hasn't improved anybody's life. He's not even willing to show data on his biggest operations, the ones that he claims are successful, like the ICE raids. He's not willing to show data. He's not willing. They don't have a way to show data because they don't even want to qualify the people actually being real, like in numbers. Like they don't collect names. You see what I mean? Things that people could source and find out. They don't do that. You see? So nobody really knows what the numbers are from them because they're not reporting them, you know? It's a lot of issues with that. And they make it seem like they're doing a great job number wise, but they're not producing any numbers. Not really, not in a way you can actually know and follow up. The media can't follow up on any of that because they're not producing any of the evidence. Oh, let me see here.
The Caribbean, though. You've likely seen these types of images by now. The Washington Post has an exclusive. They say that Secretary Pete Hegseth gave an order to, quote, kill everybody in the first strike on suspected drug boats in the Caribbean back in September. The Post says after 2 men survived, the mission commander ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's instructions. Standing by is Alex Horton. He's a Washington Post military reporter. He wrote the story. He had the scoop. So, Alex, why might they want to make sure that these people were dead? Could they have learned anything from talking to possible survivors?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Austin. Yeah, that's typically how it's worked in the last 20-something years of combat in Iraq and Afghanistan and elsewhere, that, you kill militants who are engaged in ground combat, but there is also value in arresting people, detaining them, asking them questions, and if you're doing a raid, capturing anything that might be useful, documents, hard drives, that sort of thing. In the region, when it came to alleged drug traffickers for the last several decades, the Coast Guard has been responsible for interdicting these boats, stopping them, arresting them, and then taking drugs and other things, and they would send them on their way to prosecution. And the Drug Enforcement Agency and other organizations would rely on that information to understand networks, understand trafficking a little better. But that's not what's happening here. The U.S. is striking these boats and killing these alleged traffickers. So their ability to understand it more is fairly limited when you do that.
The SEAL Team 6 carried out the operation, and the report says after their initial strike on the boat, 2 men were seen alive. They were clinging to the wreckage. And rather than rescuing or detaining them, a second double tap strike was carried out. It killed the survivors. So, Alex, you spoke with a military lawyer about this. Did you discuss legal and ethical concerns?
Yeah, we spoke to former attorneys and people who are familiar with the incident from the inside. And yeah, there's some legal dimensions to this, depending on, I'm not a lawyer, and how this would even fall out in any kind of court is anyone's guess. But there's some subtleties here. The Trump administration has said that these people are in non-international armed conflict with the U.S., which makes them combatants. But there are provisions that protect combatants in the Geneva Convention, specifically when it comes to being shipwrecked. For example, if the U.S. and China were engaged in a naval battle, and one of the Chinese vessels was sunk, if the sailors are there and they're not trying to fight you back, it is unlawful to kill them while they're in the water. You do have responsibilities to help them if reasonable, and to give them aid if reasonable, but you cannot keep on attacking them. They are not a combatant anymore. It's called oars to combat. It's a term that's been around for decades now. But a lot of legal scholars who focus on law of war issues, they are saying that these people are not combatants because the U.S. is not at war with these drug traffickers or alleged traffickers. Therefore, these strikes can be chalked up to just traditional murder. So it's really depending on your perspective and who would decide these things. But that's where sort of the legalities lies. So, to people who follow the law closely on these matters, whichever way you slice it is a little concerning.
Over 20 of these types of strikes have been carried out in recent months. Do we have any information to suggest if this double tap method was used on other strikes aside from the very first one?
That's a good question. As far as we know, we couldn't find any other instances. And, this was extraordinary for a few different reasons. One, it was the very first strike. So it was very, very, there's a lot of focus and a lot of intensity around it, a lot of unknowns about how this was all going to go. And then the very first one, you had survivors. There was a subsequent strike, sometime later. You may recall this was the semi-submersible on, I think, the Atlantic side. Yep. And there was a Colombian and an Ecuadorian who were both.
Yo, facts. Who was this who wrote that? Fryer. So yeah, these military personnel cannot be protected from military USMJ tribunal once Trump is gone. Right. Also ICC, exactly, International Criminal Court may charge them. Yeah, and Hegseth is not a president. The only people I've ever seen really get away with these kind of crazy events are the presidents. If the presidents seem to never get charged, or they seem to weasel out of it, like Putin. I mean, but even if the president is wanted, people on a norm seem to never turn in the president. Netanyahu never turned in the president, but they have turned in subordinates to the ICC. They have definitely turned in subordinates, and it looks like Hegseth might be one of the first Americans getting turned over to the ICC because the whole world is watching, and it appears that he just basically admitted the shit, damn near, like on just publicly. So it's going to be hard for him to get out of that, and anybody else who's following his orders. I'm sure a few of them want to save their ass. And, this is the other thing. Just before this happened, this last debacle with Hegseth, you saw this video come out. Let me see here. There's this video where the senators and the congressional members, different people, ex-military, came out and said and did this video where they were like, do not follow illegal orders. And it's in line with this. But this last event had not happened. They didn't know that the information about Pete Hegseth telling the military to strike a second time and kill the people, right, that were in the water, that hadn't been released yet. But I have a strange suspicion that first video that some of those people may have had prior knowledge of it. You see what I mean? And all of a sudden now, Kash, guess who's going after these people to try to have interviews with them? Kash Patel. He's trying to interview them now. So it seems like there is a there, because why would you be trying to you see what I mean? It's kind of like you would think that maybe on the surface, he's just interviewing them because President Trump wants that. Nah, it seems to me like, yeah, he wants that. But it seems to me like the timing of that video is so close to this, and it's pretty much surrounding this Venezuelan operation. I'm more inclined to believe they knew something illegal happened and put that video out. And now Kash Patel is out there trying to clean it up. And they're just clever about how they do it. So they don't announce their actual intention. They mask it, as something else. And but I'm thinking this is they know that they fucked up, and now they want to go after these people and try to find out who. Because remember, this all comes down to a whistleblower. Someone in the military leaked this information. You see, so Kash Patel is likely to want to know who that is that leaked that information. I don't know, but you let me know your theories. Let me know your thoughts about what's going on with that.
Both rescued and repatriated. They weren't tried in any American system. They weren't taken to the U.S. For questioning. They were back home within a couple of days. So what we know is there was a greater emphasis after this strike to plan deliberately to put greater emphasis, put greater care into what happens when you have someone in the water. It seems to me that maybe it wasn't that cognizant for people, and once it happened the first time, it seemed to be more of a deliberate thing to focus on it. But as far as we know, we don't know if, and as far as we know, there were no other double taps that happened like this.
You cover the military for WAPO. What are you tracking in the coming weekend? What are you tracking in the coming days? We've been watching as the U.S. has been building up its resources in the region. What are you watching for in the immediate weeks ahead?
I'm watching for things that change and turn on a dime. I think people are glued to the open source tracking of all these planes that are going towards Venezuela. There's been B-52s and all kinds of electronic warfare planes, and people on Twitter will just blow up and be like, "All right, here it comes. There's something happening." But the U.S. has those plane transponders on, so you can see them. It's about sending a message. If there's going to be a bombing run on Caracas, you're not going to see those things on open source tracking. So I'm looking for any changes of subtleties of that, ramping up of rhetoric in Caracas or Washington. But if something were to happen, that's a big if. The diplomatic talks are ongoing, the posturing is ongoing. As far as we know, these strikes have only been focused on alleged drug traffickers. But if, and I do underline the word if something were to happen on the ground in Venezuela, whether it's against traffickers or government targets, we're going to hear about it after the fact.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning, too, that just yesterday on Thanksgiving, President Trump said the U.S. will very soon start stopping suspected Venezuelan drug trafficking networks by land. He said by land, acknowledging that. We appreciate your time coming on today. By the way, I will also mention that any other significant strikes that happen on water, we'll be tracking closely. What will this look like? Let's say a strike does take place on land, and maybe this is an impossible question to answer, but typically we see the DOD very shortly after the strikes over sea, they'll send out a video of this thing. Do we anticipate that they'll handle a land strike the same? Is that clear to us at all?
That's not clear to me at all. I mean, that just comes down to President Trump's decision and what he wants to say with these messages. I think traffickers around the region, they're not necessarily going to know if a boat connected to one group versus another is going to happen. So, releasing the videos quick might be messaging to groups as a deterrence to knock it off. But when it comes to strikes like that, you're talking about, more robust ground targets and operations, a little bit more involved than that. It's hard to know. There's things that the U.S. would want to conceal about what they're using and what they're flying, and we already see that in these videos. They have redacted imagery and telemetry on these videos, so they may not want to do that with legitimate military targets so fast, because it would give, for example, air defense systems in Venezuela a little bit more information. So they would probably, if they were going to release anything at all, they would want to wait a little bit, just so that information is not readily used by the adversary.
Alex Horton is a Washington Post military reporter. Thanks for the time today. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate it, Austin. Thank you.
Of course. All right, the time in the nation's capital, 5:09. We do have retired.
After more than 20 strikes against South American drug boats, President Trump is now making bold comments about what's next for Venezuela.
In recent weeks, you've been working to deter Venezuelan drug traffickers, of which there are many. Of course, there aren't too.
All right, let me make him a little bigger, because I like to watch Trump's body language, while he's saying stuff now. Again, I was saying earlier, he's sitting down and he's reading, right? As a matter of fact, let me go over to, we can use this clip. This clip is good enough. It's not his worst clip, obviously, but it's good enough. Now, let me see here. What does it, let me see here. Oh, let me just pull up a new one then. What are the signs of, right? What are the signs of dementia? Right. Here we go. Let's see here. And this sounds like Trump. Totally, 100%. Okay. So let's see here. Memory problems, forgetting recent conversations or events, repeating questions or stories, relying heavily on reminders or notes, difficulty problem solving or planning, trouble managing bills, budget, and following a receipt, difficulty completing multi-step tasks, used to handle easily, confusion about time or place, losing track of dates, seasons, or appointments, getting lost in familiar locations. Hold on, let me see. Is there more here? Hold on, let me go back. There's another one too. Hold on. Let me see. Is it this one? think it's this one right here. Is it this one? Oh, that's interesting. Hold on. Let me see here. All right, let me try this one more time. All right, the comment. Here we go. Memory loss. Difficult with communication, right? Trouble finding words or following conversations. Struggling to write or read coherently, right? You see this. I mean, he's struggling to read coherently, right? Disorientation, confusion about time, dates, place, getting lost in familiar environments. Okay. All right, let me see. Impaired judgment, problem solving, poor financial decisions. That sounds like Trump, right? I mean, how is he handling the U.S. economy? Difficulty planning or completing familiar tasks, cooking, shopping. He doesn't do that, though. Personality or mood changes, right? Anxiety, depression, irritability, or apathy, right? Withdrawal from social activities or hobbies. This is Trump. This is Trump. Anxiety, depression. I don't know if he's depressed, but he likely is behind the scenes. But irritability, like he's often irritated. The way he responded to the reporters the other day. What are you, stupid? That's it right there. And apathy, like he doesn't seem to have any empathy for anybody really beyond it. It's all about his own personal interest, no matter what you're talking about or discussing, right? There isn't tragedy. Look, when the guy in his office fell out, having a heart attack or whatever he had, Trump turned his back on him. Like literally just turned his back and just waited like apathy, withdraw from social activities or hobbies. Okay, well, if everything's always about you, that's hard to discover, right? Difficulty and abstract thinking, trouble understanding numbers, sequences, or complex ideas. Okay, physical signs, motor symptoms, slower movements or difficulty with coordination, common in Parkinson's related dementia, trouble with balance. We've seen his walk. We've seen him walk the way he walks, right? Increased risk of falls. Okay, changes in gait, shuffling steps or difficulty initiating walking, uneven posture. You've seen that in Trump. Or leaning to one side. You've seen that in Trump. Muscle weakness or rigidity. I'm sorry. Damn. Yeah. Particularly in some forms like Lewy body dementia or vascular dementia. Okay. Changes in daily function, difficulty dressing, bathing, or eating. They say he stinks. Okay. Loss of fine motor skills. I mean, you could see that on Trump handling utensils or buttons. Notice how Trump often, when he's sitting at that desk, how he holds his hand. Notice that. Like, is that to cover up shaking? Possibly. I know a lot of people that, that seems to be a typical sign of dementia. Sleep and appetite changes. Okay, nighttime restlessness. Trump is tweeting in the middle of the night. Right? Disturbances, weight loss or appetite changes due to forgetting to eat or changes in sense of taste. Okay. Rapid memory decline, sudden confusion or disorientation, difficulty performing every task, noticeable changes in personality or mood. That is Trump. Like he has those mood swings
Too many
all
coming
the time.
in by sea anymore. Have you probably noticed that? We've almost stopped. It's about 85% stopped by sea. You probably noticed that. People aren't wanting to be delivering by sea, and we'll be starting to stop them by land also.
By land. Let's bring in Ryan Berg. He's the head.
I mean, what do y'all think about that? Do you think Trump has dementia? Like, straight up. Do you think he has dementia? I think he does. I think and I think they've known that for a minute, and I think they cover it up because, look, a person with dementia you can use. You can control, you can take advantage of, right? Because number one, they don't remember everything. They're not accountable. Trump doesn't seem accountable for much, but let me see here. Somebody said He never tweeted once. Like, what are you talking about, man? Or Xing, whatever you want to call it. He's doing social media posts, and he always has in the last couple of years in the middle of the night. That's when Trump is up, you know. Trump rage tweets all night long when he does it. Exactly. What is Eric? Come on, man. Break this shit down to Gen X Boomer, because Gen X Boomer is like lost his mind. Where he been? Under a rock somewhere? It's crazy, man.
Future.
Oh yeah, you think he has dementia bits? I think that's just right on target. You know, I don't see how anyone could think that he isn't suffering from dementia right now. And but as long as people want him to stay in office, they think they seem to think everything is okay. Then hey, you get what you want. You get what you want.
Venezuela initiative at the Center for Strategic International Studies. Ryan, the president there
He should be in an old folks home.
making it pretty clear where this is headed, but how do you see it unfolding?
Good morning, Griff. Great to be with you. Look, the president has said before that land strikes could be next in Venezuela. Yesterday, there were reports, unconfirmed still at this point, that the president and the dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, have already held a call that was last week. He's saying this week, once again, that land strikes are likely in Venezuela. So I imagine that call didn't go particularly well. And the Navy currently has about 30% of its deployed force in the Southern Caribbean. So everything to me, Griff, tells me that we're trending in the direction of seeing land strikes on drug targets in Venezuela rather soon. And I imagine that call yesterday that was reported on, still unconfirmed, between President Trump and Nicolas Maduro didn't go particularly well. And I imagine it's because there's really not much to say to a guy who stole an election last year and refuses to leave office if he's not actually willing to leave office.
You know, notice how they keep changing the issue. Like, first the issue was what? Drugs, right? Then the issue is, now the issue is that they're talking about is the election. Like, in other words, it's almost like they don't know, they don't want to say it's regime change. They don't want to say it's that. That's what it is. Now, you already got sanctions. I don't see, of course, if you don't think that he has free and fair elections, I think sanctions are fine, right? I think that's fine. But ultimately, it does hurt the local people pretty much. It makes everybody, it keeps everybody standing still, right? Pretty much. And, or it tends to, right? But, don't get me wrong. If you're going to do something, you should state very clearly what your issue is. You shouldn't mix match it. I'm talking about at the very worst, even if you were going to go in to remove him, then what is the issue about, why you're going to do it? The thing about the drugs, that's not being honest. That's not being honest, because it's not that. Is it the oil or is it the election? Is it what is it? Which one is it? You know what I mean? And it seems like Donald Trump wouldn't give a damn about elections, right? Because he's tried to overthrow an election his goddamn self. So why would he be mad at Maduro for that, right? You see what I mean? So that doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's a bold-faced lie. He picked up the phone and asked the governor in Georgia to give him some more votes. They just charged him. They just opened a new investigation, right? And then they stopped it because they just said, it's not because they said they couldn't prove it. It's just because they said all the bullshit it would take to go through. But they're very sure the man committed a crime. So why would he care about Maduro? I'm just saying, be fair. Why would he care about Maduro cheating on elections? Why would he? He supports, okay, let me ask you another question. How many of you support the U.S. invading Venezuela? Put a 1 in the chat if you support it. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Put a 1 in the chat if you support Venezuela. The U.S. invading Venezuela. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. I don't. Let me see here. Just put a 1 in the chat. You don't have to say why not. Just put a 1 in the chat if you think if you support it. Okay, let's see here. You know, that tells me when people do everything else but what you ask, it tells me that's their little way of manipulating. They want to manipulate, you know? So instead of just answer, you know? Right. Dose. Yeah, I don't see nobody that said they for it. I'm not for it. But I wanted to question one of the people that was for it. Nobody in here is for it. Okay, damn, that's great. Do me a favor, click the like button too while you're at it. Now, check this out. This guy, Trump, he's for Putin invading. He's for Putin invading Ukraine. He's for that. He says the power that has the most, you know, hey, that's them. They can do it, you know, and the smaller country should just bend over, right? So we know that's his logic about wars. It doesn't matter what the war is about. In his mind, that's how things work. So he would be for taking the oil anyway, right? Isn't that what he would be for? But it seems like he doesn't want to say that. So he's trying to find any other excuse. And the excuses they're not really working because this guy Maduro the likeliness of him really having much to do with drugs, that's not his goal, man. He's got oil. You see what I mean? The oil is worth more than the drugs, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? And so maybe one of his subordinate does. But then the other thing Trump tries to make up, they try to just bring it up in here, the elections. But Trump doesn't care about elections. Putin. When was the last time you think they had a fair election in Russia? So it's crazy. You know, it just seems like, to me, I don't know. It seems like it's definitely about the oil. Everything else is a distraction. And I'm not trying to cap for Maduro at all, because I don't think he won the election fairly, to be honest with you. But that doesn't mean I'm for him. You know, that doesn't mean I'm for Venezuela being invaded. Nah, and I'm not for a U.S. Regime change. I'm not for that for anybody. I'm not for that for any country. You see what I mean? So, all right, but let's see some more of this nonsense. This is Fox News, by the way.
Well, and Ryan, you study this every day, so you fully understand the larger context of all this. These strikes started back at the beginning of September. They've continued, and as you point out, the Carrier Strike Group 12 is now in the Caribbean with the USS Gerald Ford, the largest carrier that we have. There's quite a bit of firepower there. But do you see the larger picture is ultimately hoping that Maduro will somehow just walk away before we have to move this into the direction of escalating it to land strikes?
Well, Griff, I think the point of the call, if it did in fact happen, was likely to give Maduro this ultimatum, that exactly how you speak of it. This is your chance to negotiate your exit. If you don't negotiate your exit, we're going to escalate to land strikes. Again, 30% of the deployed force, the U.S. Navy in the Southern Caribbean. It's a significant amount of firepower. And the moving of the USS Gerald R. Ford to the region, I think, is one of those crossing the Rubicon moments. You don't move a significant piece of equipment like that, a carrier strike group and her associated escorts, if you don't intend to put real options on the table, Griff, for the president to consider, which involve her use. So you could see land strikes against targets that are purely drug trafficking in nature, or you could see land strikes against targets that are at the heart of that state criminal nexus that we always talk about in Venezuela, the way that the Venezuelan armed forces help this criminal regime to move drugs.
Yeah, that.
You know, if you were serious about drugs, you wouldn't be blowing up those ships like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And then they're not bringing back any evidence. You know, they haven't brought back 1 kilo of cocaine, just nothing to show people for anything. I mean, come on now. That's just, I think that's just irresponsible. People being irresponsible. You know, the supporters, even if you support it, it's not a real form of support. It's an irresponsible form, because it's like saying, you know what? I require no evidence. I'm just a blind follower. Just go ahead and do whatever you need to do. I'm a blind follower. It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
I tried everything.
Let's see.
Coffee, Doro.
Oops. Yeah, so that's my feeling on it. I don't see how anybody can support it. I'm not seeing any really deep insights or reasoning behind why someone would support it. To me, it just seems like people are doing it. It's making excuses. You may as well say Trump has the right to do anything he wants, and it doesn't matter what it is, you know. And eventually, that's going to also come back to the people that say that they're okay with that. You know, it always comes back, you know. But let's see here. Let's see here. What else is there? Boom. We got Kash Patel and taking his beautiful trips with taxpayer dollars. I mean, how many of you are in favor of Kash Patel taking these trips? I mean, no accountability, I swear, no accountability at all.
Her security detail. The White House has denied this reporting, but it all comes despite the fact that Patel has frequently used the Bureau to do Trump's bidding. Just this week, the FBI began contacting the Democratic lawmakers who made a social media video urging troops to defy illegal orders for interviews.
Right. So don't you think this is, to me, there's something here. Like, if I doubt very seriously Kash Patel would be doing interviews about this video. I don't think it's about the video. The video is like saying don't follow illegal orders, but you know, my gut feeling is that it's because it's about the leak. You know, I think this video was made because of the leak. And I think Kash Patel, they don't know who the government doesn't know who the leak came from. So this is a result of that. Now they want to interview people to try to find out what they know about the leak. And I think they don't want to say it publicly, so they're going about it in an underhanded way. Instead, they're calling the video illegal. But obviously, the video's not illegal because it's not illegal to tell people to not follow illegal orders. You see what I mean? So I think it's really coming down to this. Let's see here.
Joining us now is Christopher.
Oh, yeah, Friars, big up to you. And thanks, Bits. I see you got the memberships on lock. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, thank Bits for the free memberships also. Appreciate it, y'all.
O'Leary, former FBI special agent and counterterrorism official, and MS Now national security and intelligence analyst. Sorry, my hair is getting in your way.
We got a smart audience, actually, and the people listening in, we got a real smart audience. For those that don't know, I mean, most of my followers are adults, like people firmly in their adult life. 45, I would say, and over, up to 45 and 6. You know, my biggest group might actually be people 65 years old. You know what I'm saying? So big up to y'all. That I think in the second biggest group is people in their 50s, and then the third biggest is people in their 40s. So, you know, and then I have some that are under that, but like 80% is people 40 and above. So big up to the adults out there.
There, Christopher.
That's why I'm trying not to curse today. You know, I thought a lot about that. I'm sorry. And forgive me if sometimes I'm cursing because that's how you could tell I'm really into it or pissed off about something because, you know, yeah. But today I thought about that and I was like, let me calm the cursing down a little bit. It's not really me, but some of these topics are so serious. Yeah. What can I say?
Even if Patel does go, and I know the White House is saying that this isn't true, but I trust my MS Now colleagues a little bit more than them. Even if
Bits is the best.
This is true, and Kash Patel is on his way out. Even if he leaves in a year, the damage that he's done to the FBI and how it's operated.
You blushing, Bits. Hey, yo, listen, everybody. Is Kash Patel on his way out? Is he on his way out? Like, you know, is it? I think all these people are on their way out because of how Donald Trump does shit. His brain doesn't work regular. This guy, all these people cap for him and they think that they're capping to keep their job. They think that they're doing work, whatever he wants them to do. And they think that that's what's going to keep their job. Wrong, man. Trump is going to get rid of their ass anyway.
Still stands and will still be there and have a long effect.
It's true. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who were patently unqualified for the job,
He's a total joke, for real. You Richard, tell me about it.
Who came into the job because they were bootlickers, and they
bootlickers,
fierce loyalists to President Trump.
I mean, somebody is that he has no respect for Kash Patel. I mean, when you start using that kind of language on somebody, a bootlicker, that means, damn, like, wow, that's your reputation as a bootlicker, dude. Like,
who were patently unqualified for the job, who came into the job because they were bootlickers, and they fierce loyalists to President Trump, and disparaged the FBI for years, which made them somehow qualified for the job, have forced out hundreds of years of experience. At a time when we're in the middle of a crisis right now, you would need that experience. There are quite a few very qualified and dedicated FBI agents still left, but what would be important is if you finally push past this period of really despair in the FBI, you need to choose a leader who is going to be capable of reconstituting it and correcting.
Kash Patel don't know a goddamn thing about nothing. This is like, they took a social, listen, that would be like taking me and making me the head of the FBI, except I'm even better than Kash Patel. I mean, what the fuck? And I wouldn't even do it. Come on. I'm going to tell you, I could sit down and maybe go through resumes with another person that has some goddamn sense and knows how to read resumes and knows how to conduct interviews and knows a little bit about, a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Of course, but listen, this is the Senate's job. The Senate is supposed to approve these people. And for some reason, we got people that don't know anything about nothing that are holding these jobs. And again, whatever happens, whatever bad happens under Kash Patel's leadership, all those senators that voted for him, it's their goddamn fault. It's their fault, I don't get it. Just vote no. Just vote no. That's all they had to do. But they did it. This is the government we have right now. I mean, it couldn't be worse. It couldn't be worse.
The generational harm.
I don't know what to say. But it couldn't be worse. It couldn't be worse, It couldn't be worse at all. Yeah, exactly. Brown noser. And he's a brown noser. Who said that? Richard? Yeah, exactly. And that's bad language too. Brown nosing. But he is, man. He's a pick-me dude. Like, he's an embarrassment, man. Like, my God, to everybody. I know Pakistani people are like, what the fuck? Please don't brown nose anymore. You're fucking up our reputation. Like, yeah, this is what you get. This is what you get, man. I mean, it's just too much for me, man. I think something is going to go really, really bad. I don't want it to, and I want people to remain positive, and I want people to fight for your future. This is your life. Demand better every step of the way. But I don't know how this is not something is not going to be revealed that he's been up to that is very, very bad. And not just him, all of these appointees, like especially Kristi Noem, and it's a couple of them, the CIA director and then the Homeland Security. Hold on. CIA and Kash Patel, I think they're going to turn out to be the worst, to be honest with you. But that's just my guess. I don't know anything else about it, but
because this country needs an organization like the FBI to protect it from corrupt government officials, from espionage, from counterterrorism, attacks on our financial system.
Somebody call ICE on Patel, for real.
Is that organization that does that. What the FBI does not do, or is not intended to do, is immigration roundups or foot patrols in Washington, D.C. I talk to agents almost daily who are concerned and critical about the waste of the resources.
I'm talking about waste of the resources. Eugene just read about how Kash Patel's girlfriend is being protected by SWAT teams. I didn't know girlfriends got security details, but I'll just leave that to the side.
They don't.
Do they?
They do not. Okay. And the question, and there's no justification for it. It is fraud, waste, and abuse. And if OIG was still in place, he would be investigated for this. There is no defensible position for that. And I mean,
and you know what's very telling is that what are they investigating or prosecuting the last head of the FBI for this type of corruption? You see what I mean? So Kash Patel and them, they can't even come out and say, well, the last one did it, because if the last one did the same things, you would be prosecuting him, right? Right. You see what I mean? I mean, for those crimes specifically, but he's not even saying that, so I'm sure he will later. But it's obvious. You don't say something later. It's when you know there's a crime that went on, you investigate and you prosecute and you charge. You investigate, you charge, and you prosecute. You see what I mean? And he's got nobody for any of these types of crimes. Nothing, no waste of money. He hasn't even accused the last FBI director of wasting money like this. He made one public statement, I think, right? But then now that he's been in office, he's done 1,000 times worse.
dollars in yours that are being wasted on these ridiculous adventures and security for his girlfriend. Should his college roommate get security because he's associated with Kash Patel and might be getting threats? Where would it stop? Should his second cousin, anybody who came over for Thanksgiving, get the security detail? And it's outrageous.
Exactly. Should his whole family get the security detail? What do y'all think? I mean, I just think it's personal judgment is not there. Like, it's just waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, American taxpayer dollars, and they have no problem just spending it like it's their personal money. I mean, and it's the taxpayers' dollars. And again, we got a Congress and we have a Senate that refuses to impeach this man yet. Like, I think that is the real telling part of it, because it's not isolated. This is a situation that can only continue day by day because Congress and the Senate will not impeach him. Just very simple. They will not remove him. No matter how bad it is, and it's very bad, they are just not getting rid of these people. And that makes them culpable. If you ask me, it makes them culpable. It means their ethics are part of the problem too. You see what I mean? Because to be honest, if they wanted to get rid of Kash Patel, if they wanted to get rid of Kristi Noem, if they wanted to get rid of Trump, if they wanted to get rid of anybody, it would only take one day. One day in 1 hour in Congress and 1 hour in the Senate, they would all be removed. You see, they have that power. But so far, it's almost like, what are you waiting for? What could be worse? What are they waiting for? Something worse to happen? Like, I don't get it.
Speaking of ridiculous adventures, The New Yorker has a story, Kash Patel's acts of service. Patel has used the Justice Department's Boeing 757 and its G5 to attend UFC fights not only in Vegas, but in Miami, where he was seated behind Trump. Quote, "You never saw Mueller, Wray, or Comey at UFC matches," a current agent said of the Bureau's previous 3 directors. Patel also used a government jet to fly to New York with the hockey great Wayne Gretzky to attend an Islanders game at which Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals broke the all-time NHL scoring record. Is he actually at work? I mean, is he?
I'll tell you from this.
Yo, somebody said they don't have that power. Hold on. Look, everybody. Just look here. Is it Brian Ross? Brian Ross says they do not have the power to impeach Kash Patel to get, yo, brother. If it's a brother, they do, actually. And to be honest, it only takes an hour in each chamber. It doesn't take much more than that. The Congress and the Senate have the control, and they can impeach Supreme Court justices also. They can impeach pretty much whoever they want. That's their job. Look at this. No, they don't. This guy is like, what's wrong with you, man? Are you American? Brian, are you American? What state are you in? Yeah, I didn't get a yes yet. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Let me just pull this up for people, because there's a lot of disinformation out there, and a lot of people spread disinformation. But can Congress impeach Trump in a day or any other. Let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah, they can impeach anybody. Look, let's see here. This is what you have to do. You got to start in the House, and you have to have articles of impeachment. But articles of impeachment are already there. You know, they're already pre-written. You don't need to, you know, doesn't have to be anything extra. You see what I mean? Once they're drafted, and they are already drafted, by the way, you see, all the House has to do is vote on it. And it's a simple majority in the House. Okay. 218 of the same thing like the Epstein files, 218 of 435 is required to impeach. Technically, if the House acts fast, you could vote on articles the same day in the Senate. Very simple. Okay. Now it says that you would have a Senate trial, right? After impeachment, the Senate holds a trial to decide whether to remove from office. That's just a trial. Okay. Conviction requires 2/3 vote in the Senate. 67 of 100 senators. That's it. That's it. So, you know, you could add 2 days if that makes you feel more comfortable, but that's it. They have the power, and it's them who have the power, you see? And what is this guy talking about? You lying, you know it. Listen, y'all. Can Congress impeach Trump or Kash Patel or a Supreme Court justice? Can they impeach in 2 days then? Put a 1 in the chat if they can. Put a 2 in the chat if they can't. Listen. There it is. Listen, this is who they can impeach, in case you don't know. Okay? The Constitution allows for the president, vice president, and all civil officers of the United States of America. That's Article 2, Section 4, okay? Civil officers include cabinet secretaries, senior federal agency heads, and other officials appointed under federal law. Not all staffers, but anyone with a significant federal office, okay? Practical considerations. If Kash Patel currently holds a position requiring Senate confirmation, he could be impeached by the House for high crimes and misdemeanors, just like Trump, okay? So it's very simple. All heads of offices can be impeached. And like someone said, it is Article 2, Section 4, okay, for anybody that wants to look that up. Yeah, and he's like, it takes time to investigate. Oh, really? It takes time for you. It takes time for you, but when you're getting paid to do it, it only takes 2 days. Come on, man. Why should it take more than 2 days? You think they don't have enough already? What do you think that's about? At the end of the day, it only takes a vote. You know, there's no exact time limit put where in the Constitution where it says the meeting has to take a week. No, it doesn't have to take a week. All it requires is a vote. The trial doesn't have to take a week. The trial could take a day. Okay, it's just that simple. And and I think you should know that. Every citizen should know that. I mean, why don't you know that? And it takes 2/3. It takes a simple majority to impeach in Congress, and it takes 2/3 to impeach in the Senate, which would be 60 something votes out of 100. That's what it takes. You see? So, yeah. But in any case, you should understand that any government head, any appointed head to government, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, any of them, JD Vance, they're working for the federal governments, and they're the heads of agencies, and they all fall under Article 2, Section 4 impeachment. So just for folks that don't know, I understand, sometimes I look shit up. I know stuff, but just to verify it when somebody challenges me, maybe I made a mistake. I like to look it up. No problem. I got no problem with that.
The nickname that I've heard he's being called from agents within the FBI. He's the
So this guy is still down there. Indictment is what's important. Okay. I thought it was article of impeachment that was important, but you call it what you want to call it. You call it what you want to call it. That's okay. You use your own language. Okay. It's fine.
Make-A-Wish director. So he flies to see OV score the winning goal on a 757, a jet that he used for the Render Safe mission, on the ready to dismantle a nuclear bomb if...
Exactly. Waffles or pancakes? You tell me. Which one?
It's found in the United States.
What?
He goes to UFC fights.
You could tell that's a Kash Patel supporter in the chat there. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it that fast.
He goes to the Boondoggle Ranch during a government shutdown for 4 days.
Kash Patel is spending government cheese. He's on government welfare right now. I mean, he literally pays his bills by begging for money from the taxpayers. Like, that's pathetic. Like, that is really pathetic. Go start a business, Kash Patel. Go invent something that's important to humanity. Stop fucking sitting there, begging for taxpayer dollars. Like, that's all you can do is like, damn, man, do something else.
He goes.
I do something else. I work for a private company. You know what I'm saying? Like,
to a golfing outing in Scotland with his buddies. The G5 jet, I'll give you an example. I was in command of a unit.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna work for the government, do your fucking job. Be serious about it. Actually want to improve people's lives. Actually, really be a great example. You see what I mean? But he's not any of those things.
They used it regularly for counterterrorism missions. Just one example: when Benghazi happened, I led a small team of select FBI special personnel to immediately fly out of Washington, D.C. within hours of notice to link up with a special operations unit so we could go into Benghazi.
Yeah, I'm about to get some waffles, Biz.
That is what those planes are intended for. They're not intended for going to see your girlfriend sing the national anthem. And just let's piece this together. That 1 week, he flies up to New York so he can stand on the podium and steal the spotlight from all the agents and assistant U.S. attorneys who worked the gambling fraud case with the NBA. He then flies to Happy Valley, to see his girlfriend sing the national anthem at a wrestling match, then carries on to Nashville, and from there goes to the Boondoggle Ranch, which couldn't be more appropriately named, during a government shutdown, spends 4 days there doing exotic hunting while government employees are not getting paid, while American citizens are not getting the services that they should get.
Terrible. We will.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning of the fraud. I mean, and this is the standard right now. This is the standard, this is what this government represents right now that we have, and I just wonder, as an American citizen, born and raised in Washington, D.C., both of my parents go back to the colonial period in America, right? But as a grown ass man, I actually live outside of the U.S. I live in Copenhagen, Denmark. And I got to tell you, I don't think anyone here or in the Western world, I don't think they could understand it. There's no way they could rationalize it. I think people are all sitting back asking, what are the American people waiting for? Like, you're not tired of all this corruption? Like, is this what you do with your tax dollars? Because let me tell you what goes on with tax dollars are considered very serious here. Taxes are considered very serious here. You know why that is? Because taxes pay for health care. Taxes pay for education to make sure everybody has access to higher education. Taxes pay for elder care here. All this money you see being wasted is money that could be used on that. And I know people here would not understand it. They would not understand it, and definitely they wouldn't understand the Americans that are laughing about how these tax dollars are spent. so irresponsibly. You know, I don't think anybody here could understand how Americans believe their tax dollars are not to be used to improve their actual lives. You know, I don't understand it either. In my world, it's called taxation without representation. Like, it's improving Kash Patel's life. It's improving Trump's life. Yeah. It's not improving elderly people's lives in the U.S. You know, they're trying to cut their Medicare, trying to make them pay triple and quadruple for health care. You do know elder care is built into that health care too, right? I mean, not to mention education ain't even really part of it. You know, it's not that, you know, I mean, they don't even have higher education built in there, you know, and it's just, you know, it's just a question of to me, I really do think it comes down to American citizens and how they value themselves, not how they value, maybe how you value another American citizen. It might be too complex, but how do you value yourself with your own tax dollars? I think it really does come down to that. And all I got to say is I really, really am so thankful for my personal life that I live in Denmark, a place where they believe the tax dollars should work to improve everyday people's lives, everybody's life. You know, unequivocally, there's no confusion about whose money that is and who works for it. You see what I mean? You know, and it's not this thing here where if you lose your job, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm in a union, so if I lose my job, I have like 2 years if I need to, if it takes me that long. But to be honest with you, it's probably only going to take me a week or two, a month maybe, to get into the next position that I would like, right? But let's say it takes me 2 years. I mean, I have 2 years. I still have full health care coverage. If I want to go back to college, I can go back to college. I'm 55 years old. I can still go back to college if I want to. If I want to take up a new education, I can go back to college. You see what I mean? I would get a stipend to do that. You see what I'm saying? I mean, in my mind, tax dollars are to expand your freedoms, you know, to support the concept of being free, right? And I guess I've been overseas too long to where I just really don't understand what's going on in my own country back home. I mean, the country I come from, like, I don't understand it anymore. Like, to be honest, I really don't understand it. And I do know the law. I do know the Constitution. I do know the purpose of taxes. I do know taxation without representation is illegal. But what I don't understand is why American people have a lot of money to give in taxes and don't seem to want that shit to work for them. They don't seem to be something that simple. Like, they don't seem to think they deserve health care while paying taxes. They don't seem to think they deserve access to education regardless of how much money you have. I mean, yet the whole government itself is a socialist project. The whole entire government is paid for by taxes. The entire military is paid for 100% by the taxpayer. But the same taxpayers don't think it should work for them directly. I mean, you're paying the people to lock your ass up. You pay the person to come and kick you out of your house when you can't pay a bill. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. You pay for some senators' health care. You pay for congressional members' health care. You pay for Trump's health care. And you don't even fucking think your own tax dollars should pay for your own. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, I don't get it. It's just something that you can't find an excuse for why it's that way. I think people just have to wake the fuck up and decide that, hey, I'm deserving. I'm paying taxes. Yeah. Any case, I gotta go for today, y'all. I'll be back. I'm off, so I'll be back I'll be back later on in 8 hours from now. But please, y'all, like the ones of you there that are listening that are American citizens, and the ones of you in the chat that are American citizens, I'm just telling you, you deserve better from your government. You deserve better for your tax dollars. And as far as, and you've always been getting ripped off, but as far as this regime is concerned, oh man, they just rub it in your face. They just rub it in your face, And at some point, it's just got to come to an end. It's only going to come to an end when people stand up for themselves. Like, you got to be willing to stand up for yourself. That is literally how the Constitution works and how the laws work. If you aren't clever enough to say enough is enough and demand that it's over, it's only prolonging this stupidity. The man in charge brain is not working. That. The people behind him are taking full advantage of that. That was the whole idea in the first place. Put somebody whose brain is not working in the front, so the people in the back can do all the stealing of the rest of your tax dollars, get all the government grant money and all of this shit, man. Man, look out for yourselves first. The everyday person, the everyday American, look out for yourself first. Look out for other people like you first. You have to stand up for each other first, because they're taking every advantage of the fact that we don't always stand up for each other. So on that note, man, I'm going to be back. Y'all. Yeah, you could see this kind of really bother me right now. Yeah, every once in a while it hits me. Because this shit is taking too fucking long. It doesn't make any sense anymore. It doesn't make any sense. It's way overdue. It's way overdue. So in any case, y'all, I appreciate y'all. I'll be back again in a little bit. Until then, be safe. Be safe, all right? And take care of each other. Take care of each other. Treat each other kind. Even if everybody doesn't think that's what you can do for each other, but you can. Trust me. I'm out.
They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. Then I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute it, you might hear. But they won't, cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear. And they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.